Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Welcome, welcome. Welcome back. Hope you're faring well. Hope your Sunday's going nicely. Whether it's you're at the end of your Sunday and Monday's fast approaching, whether it's the middle of the day, like me right now, or whether it has only just begun. Hopefully we're in store for a good day and a good race here today at the Red Bull Ring. Welcome everyone. Hello, hello. Apologies for my tardiness. Had some last minute things just to try and sort out on the setup here. So yes, all tickety-boo though. Looks to be all good, running well as always. If you are new to the channel, why do we go why do we go live so early before the race even begins, as you can see from the countdown there? Well, it's because I love chatting to you guys, of course. That's the main reason. And I also have a look at the strategy options. We have a look at the tyre allocations. And we have a look at the weather and everything that is relative, of course, to the race today. So, but hopefully it should be a good one. I took twice. I'm sorry, Dan. As I said, I apologise for my tardiness. I apologise. I was on daddy duties. So I'm sure you can forgive me. But yes, guys, we're just waiting for the drivers to go out on their sighting laps. We're hoping, obviously, it's going to be an interesting race today. Track temperatures are very hot right now. It's a very, very hot track temperature. I'm just going to change scene to make sure I've got everything set up okay. Because something with multi-viewer unfortunately updated for me. Okay, that's a bit annoying, isn't it? Multi-viewer updated and everything is out of whack. Huh, okay, right. Let me do this. Hang on. Let me do this and see if this works. No, that's just made it even worse. Okay. Yeah, right. We'll have to do some jiggery pokery here. Oh dear. There we go, just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, I think. There we go. What was I concerned about? What was I concerned about? There we go. That's all we need. That's all we need. What was I worried about? What was I worried about? There we go. Oh, what's my name again, John? Scott. My name's Scott. Oh, no, that's the wrong thing to do. Meant to lock it. Oh, technical issues. Not everything. Streaming malarkey. It's quite difficult sometimes, guys. It's not as easy as I make it look out to be. 71 laps, yes, 71 laps today. It's going to be an interesting one. So what I want to make mention of is that the track temperature is super hot here today. Super hot, as you can see. It is currently 50 degrees and potentially rising. So that's going to play an influential factor to strategy. Of course, we'll have a look at the strategy options in a moment. But yeah. 50 degrees, just as hot as it was in Canada, and of course, we're on a soft compound tyre here as well. Am I having trouble with the PC? Not with the PC, just multi-viewer. It updated, so and I can't revert back to the old version, so it's kind of moved things out of the way. So it's all good though. It's all good. Everything should be working ticky-boo. Race start timer. Yep, my bad. There we go. We'll move that over here. There we go. But definite 2-stop, even 3-stop. Maybe. We'll have a look. We're waiting for the drivers to make their way out of the pit lane, as always. Why are you choosing now to be so loud, Mila? You were quiet for the last half an hour. Now she's screaming her head off. Yes. You're supposed to be tired. You only had a half an hour nap earlier. Not good enough. Even she's excited for the race, yes, if you could hear her in the background. So I'm getting her in early. You know, when it comes to mode F1. So she's getting excited. She'll be my co-commentator. Well, she's already my co-commentator, but she'll be my co-commentator in a few years. But yes, now I'll make sure everything's all set up here. That's good. That's all tickety-boo. Oh, there we go. But yes, not long until the drivers make their way round to their grid slots. If you watched the F2 races earlier and the F3 races, they had some incident there. Supposedly, one of the lorries actually hit the gantry, I guess, and they brought something down onto the banner onto the track. So yeah, the races here have been very eventful. If you've watched any of the sprint races in F3 and F2 and the feature races, and no doubt, I think we're going to see the same in F1 as well. We saw plenty of. What do we see? We saw plenty of spins over the duration of yesterday. As a whole, in FP3 and in qualifying, of course, Gasly spinning out of the last corner and getting in the way of Max Verstappen's lap, Oscar Piastri's lap. So those two unable to improve on their times yesterday, which is why they start 3rd and 7th, respectfully. So we'll see what they're able to do today. Mister, if Charles crashes into Lando and George bumps into Max, with Oscar getting a couple of punches, then Hamilton for the win. That's a lot to happen for Hamilton to get the win, isn't it? Yeah. So we'll see. But personally, Hamilton was quite buoyant yesterday, and he did seem that he thought that he should have been on at least in 3rd place. But he's aiming for a podium today. He thinks that they can beat the Mercedes behind and the Red Bull of Verstappen, who has struggled in that car for the majority of this weekend. So F2 was crazy. F2 is always crazy. They just some of the things that they do in the junior formula is just ridiculous. I think really in like F2 and F3, you don't even necessarily need to be quick. You just need to be clean. If you're clean, then you'll gain positions and you'll do very well. So hey, Willem. Greetings to my commentator and the missus. Thank you. Yeah, they're doing very well. Thanks. Looks like we might get a real McLaren battle today, including strategy calls. Hopefully. I mean, look, if Norris leads, my prediction still is that I think Norris will win this today. I said it from the start of this weekend. It's definitely a Norris track, as we saw in qualifying yesterday. An unbelievable lap that he set, a 104.3, whatever it was, wasn't it? Sorry, 103.9, sorry. And it was just like a ridiculous. No one else got close to that. Even if Piastri set a lap, he is consistently throughout the duration of this weekend had the better of his teammate, which is going to happen in a very long season. But what we know Piastri does better thus far compared to Norris is he is more consistent. But yeah, Norris has definitely got job number 1 done, and which has been his main downfall this season thus far is that he's qualified well finally. So leave the little girl. She's fine. Yeah, she's playing with her toys right now, so she's happy as Larry. Happy baby. What did you say, Gavin? You been enjoying the iRacing content again? Thanks, buddy. Yeah, trying to fit a few more races in where I can. I love my sim racing. I don't want to give it up. Obviously, your priorities change when you have a little one, and you still obviously got a full-time 9 to 5, 8 to 5 job that you've got to rely on, of course, and focus on to pay the bills. This isn't my full-time job yet, unfortunately, guys. But of course, if you'd like to make that dream come true and support this channel, you can hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers, and the more every single subscriber I get is another step closer to making this full-time and bringing you more content on the regular, whether it be sim racing and F1 related content as well. So do I think this is last chance? This is Yuki's last chance to perform. No, I think Yuki's in this car to the end of the season. I don't think they're going to make a change on the Yuki Tsunoda now. Look, they know that second car is a disaster at Red Bull, and for Yuki, we said he's in a win-win situation, because I don't think they're going to get rid of him. If they do that, they're not going to get the extra 10 million that Honda have fronted up for Yuki to be in that seat. And why would you risk the development of a driver, a younger driver, whether it be Lawson now, obviously they've made that mistake already, but whether it be shattering Lawson's confidence even further or shattering the development and confidence of Isaac Hadjar, why would you do that when you've got a brand new set of regs coming up? They might as well. Unfortunately, with Tsunoda, I think he is a throwaway driver for them. I think that's how they'll see it. And I think they'll be looking at promoting Yuki. They'll be promoting either Hadjar or Lawson back into the seat for next season, depending on how they do for the remainder of this year. But yeah, no, Yuki's in there till the end of the year, in my opinion. They don't gain anything by switching him out now. So, right, drivers are making their way round, about to make their way out of the pit lane. So this is for their sighting laps. So just they're making their way round to their grid slots. So let's see how they get on and make sure there's no shenanigans. So, these are just sighting laps drivers. As you can see, the icons on the track map there, they're in the pit lane, making their way to the end of the pit lane, and they'll be making their way round to their grid slots. Now, the reason why we just keep an eye on this is because sometimes mechanical failures occur, lockups occur. We'll be keeping you up to date on it all. Hey, Trevor, you just moved to Thailand. Pleased to be able to join me. I'll be 6 hours ahead of you. Oof. Well, I hope the move to Thailand has gone very well, Trevor, and welcome back. Good to see that. That's exactly, it's the beauty of online, isn't it? It doesn't matter about time zones. You're always able to tune in, really, I guess. So, yeah, big thank you for tuning in, man, all the way on the other side of the world. Where's Taco? Probably doing his own racing. He does karting. So Taco's probably, or maybe even still waking up, as he's based in Canada. So, yeah, knowing him, he's still waking up. Lando probably has it if he doesn't bottle at the start. Yes, so going back to my predictions, sorry, a bit of a tangent earlier on. Lando Norris, I do think he's going to win this race today. I think especially if he leads at the end of the first lap. If he's able to maintain that clear air and that track position, he's going to win this race comfortably, I think. We'll see, though, of course. I think there could be safety cars here. From if the Junior Formula Series or anything to go by, we'll see safety cars, potentially red flags. We're probably going to see some spins here from drivers. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an eventful one. Taco the part-timer. No, I appreciate everything that he has done for this channel. He's been a big influential part, as all the mods have, but Taco's been around a long time in modding for this channel and keeping chat a nice civilized place. So yeah, big thank you to the mods as always. As it is green light, pit exit is open. If I just move this over here so that you can see there, green light, pit exit open. So yes, they are making their way round at the moment. And do you know what? I don't quite like how large those icons are. They're a bit too large. Let me... Oh, is he? Yeah. Oh, Oscar Piastri, he spun out of turn 1. Oh, my goodness. Oscar Piastri, I think, has just spun, or he's had an incident out of the pit lane. Oscar Piastri, there's a yellow flag. Someone has had an incident at the end of the pit lane, and I think it's Oscar Piastri. I am not kidding you right now. Is it Isaac Hadjar or Oscar Piastri? It's a very tight exit out of the pit lane, and I believe Oscar Piastri there has just banged his front wing at the exit of the pit lane. Oh my goodness. I'm watching the TV coverage right now to see what exactly has occurred. There was a yellow flag there for a reason. No, it's not. Oscar Piastri was just stopped. Hang on. No, apologies. So the marshals were throwing a yellow flag because Oscar Piastri stopped to do a practice start. So no fear there, guys. Wow. So Oscar Piastri, the marshals were throwing yellow flags because Oscar Piastri backed up the field as he was the first driver out, to do a practice start. I'm not sure if that's a suitable area to do it. I presume they normally discuss this in the driver's briefing, but yeah, wow, talk about scaring us at the start here, guys. Oh my goodness, apologies, at least he didn't crash. But yes, the marshals threw yellow flags to warn everyone, but basically Oscar Piastri had backed up the field, and that's why everyone had started. But you can see my concern, though. You could see my concern, because I know in the sim, I've done it myself, it's a very tight exit out of the pit lane, and I thought that maybe he had banged his front wing. But yes, no, it just seemed that he was doing a practice start, and that is why they threw the yellow flags there. So as you can see there, his icon has stopped once again. So the track very much does look like a wow. It does indeed. I agree. Right, let me see if I can just reduce the size of the icons. They seem to me to be just a little bit... Are the icons a bit too big on track? I feel like I could reduce them a little bit. There we go. I think that's better. There. There we go. So the track map has rotated slightly today. So yes, Multiview has updated itself. There are some new features on it, which I think just need some fleshing out at the moment. So yeah, as I'm a Patreon member of them, I kind of have the experimental stuff on it, and we do have availability for sectors here and DRS zones, but it's a little bit too cluttered in my personal opinion. I think it just needs a little bit of fleshing out. It's been rolled out today, which is a great addition. It's what we want to see, but yeah, it just seems to be a little bit too cluttered at the moment. So can I please put it back to how it was? I tried, Anthony, and I failed to do so. So it's going to have to remain as it is at the moment. So, hey Graham, good to see you all the way from Australia. Welcome. It'd be nice if they would put a north directional arrow on the track maps so we could understand where the wind direction is coming from. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I may have to add that myself, you know. Should I try and add that myself? Should we try and do that? We've got plenty of time. So let's have a look at the Red Bull Ring. And normally the layout, the map, the track map will tell you the direction. Compass direction. See if we can do that. A shout out for Alex Dunn. Huge pressure and great result for the whole weekend. Yeah, he's doing tremendously well at the moment, isn't he, Alex Dunn? So drivers are just on their side 10 laps at the moment. If you are just filtering in, there was yellow flags thrown in the first instant, which I apologise. I thought Oscar Piastri had crashed, but he hasn't. He didn't. He was just stopping and backing up the field for a practice start, as you can see there, as they're making their way out of the pit lanes. A very short circuit here, of course. So, right, where is the... It's very difficult to kind of find where the north... So it says the main straight runs roughly north to south. So north is pretty much that's south, I guess. Turn 1 south. So it's like north is up here, I think, diagonally. So, hey 23, good to see you. Morning, everyone. Yes, or afternoon for everyone in the UK or in Europe. And yes, thank you for tuning in as always. So yes, if you're just tuning in, drivers making their way round to their grid slots, just doing a couple of sighting laps, doing their practice starts. As you can see there, we have the addition, of course, of the pit lane entry. You can see there, very interesting pit lane entry here, because the entry does compromise. You do have to be on the apex of turn 9, so you do enter the pit lane on the racing line, and you go considerably slower, of course, for that pit lane entry. So drivers behind have to be very wary of those going slower into that corner. I'm really surprised actually that we haven't seen too many crashes of drivers rear-ending one another down into turn 9 because of that pit lane entry. It's a very tricky one. And it does catch drivers out. So yeah, something for them to be aware of. Of course, you exit the pit lane entry after turn 1, which is quite handy. And yeah, it always does provide some good drama on the run up to turn 3 at the top of the hill. Good morning, Red, from Florida, all the way from Canada. Good to see that we are an international stream. So, yes, very, very welcome, guys. Half an hour until this race gets underway. We're just watching drivers making their way around to their grid slots at the moment. I thought there was a moment at the start of the race with those yellow flags, but the marshals were just being careful with Oscar Piastri backing up the field out of the pit lane as he was doing practice starts. So, yeah, thought my heart was going there that Oscar Piastri had gone into the barrier on the pit lane exit, but he hadn't indeed. But yes, drivers have made their way round to their grid slots now, or making their way round without incident at the moment. So I haven't really seen any lockups or anything from drivers either. So yeah, everyone seems to be locked in for the race start. We'll give it just a couple of minutes and then we will have a look at the strategy options for today. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm positive about today's race. I really am positive about today's race from a strategy perspective. So you'll see why in a moment. But yes, welcome everyone. Do you know, it's interesting. I have a lot of viewers from down under, from the other side of the world. New Zealand, John, yep, Australia. When I look at the figures, you're very high up there. So it was good to see you guys. Good to see that even though it's at silly o'clock in the morning for you, and I respect it, I had the full experience of what you Australians and you New Zealanders have to go through to watch F1 in the start of the season when we had 3 back-to-back races. I know, 3 back-to-back races. It's nothing compared to you guys throughout a season. But it's been a while since we had to start a season like that here in the UK. I've been getting up so early in the morning. I didn't mind it too much, to be honest with you. But I can't imagine doing it on the regular like you guys do. So full respect. But yes, thank you for tuning in and choosing myself. It's currently 10:30, 11:28. Oh, goodness. Watch this and then off to bed for work. It does blow my mind, actually, sometimes that you guys are watching the race, some races at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning. India is the best location. Yeah, you're quite central, aren't you? So, got the really early Vegas yet, Scott? Oh, I know. Well, that's at the end of the year, Lee. That's future Scott's problem. That's not now Scott's problem. F1 is a really unfair sport, IFTA. Red flag, safety car, yellow flag can harm anyone, so it's not fair like football, tennis, cricket. Yeah, I mean, but that's how the sport has always been. I don't think there's any other suitable ways to really deal with it, to be honest with you. And you have to get the competition back up on the way somehow, rather than the gaps being maintained. So it's just the nature of the sport, and it does spice things up a bit, at least. But there we go, drivers making their way around to their grid slots. Seems to be that they've all made it there without incident. So, lo and behold, with 30 minutes remaining until this race gets underway, let's have a look at the strategy options for the Austrian GP today. Let me just grab them for you. Moving all of those out of the way. Here we are. Let's just increase this. Wanted that to be a bit smoother than possible. Normally it's a lot more smoother than that. But here we go. Strategy options for the Austrian GP today. And well, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. The 2-stopper. I don't like that the 1-stopper is still suggested by Pirelli, but it does seem that a 2-stopper is at least the most, I guess, predicted strategy for today, because as we mentioned, track temperatures currently at 50 degrees as it currently stands at the Red Bull rig, and potentially increasing. So very, very hot track temperatures. These tyres are going to burn. We are on the C3, C4 and C5, so we're towards the latter end, the softer end of the tyres. Of course, this year the C6 being the softest, but only at select circuits, mostly street circuits, and very low deg circuits. So the C5 is the soft tyre from last year. So same sets that we've seen previously, and it should hopefully provide us with multiple stops here today. There is talk from what I've seen that we could, with those track temperatures, see 3 stops being utilised today. So that is definitely something. So Oscar Piastri has been noted for failing to follow race director's instructions, by the way, guys, which could potentially be due to, of course, that pit lane exit that he was dealing with earlier. So Oscar Piastri being investigated already before the race even begins there. Oh dear. So high tyre deck today. Yes, Ming, it does seem like that is going to be the case. So you can see there that we've got pretty much the hard compound tyre is going to be utilised today, the medium and the hard. That is always generally the case here. The soft tyre isn't really used that often unless there's late safety cars or if someone's really out of position. Someone asked me yesterday, will we see anyone start on the soft compound tyre? That strategy doesn't ever really work anymore, starting on the soft compound tyre. We've seen in recent times that really your best bet, with clean air being king, your best bet is to not try and nab a few positions off the race start with a grippier tyre, which doesn't generally work anyway, but it's to just hold position, look after your tyres, and when you eventually get clean air and everyone pits in front of you, you do the overcut. Or vice versa, you do a really early undercut, but you're still, even then, the really early undercut at a track like Red Bull doesn't work so well. The overcut works quite nicely if you can get that tyre and keep it in a nice window. As we know, clean air is super king here. So if Max just gets one penalty, he'll miss the next race. It depends if that penalty is in relation. Does every penalty? I can't remember from the racing guidelines if there's any. It depends if there's driver infringements. If it's a driver infringement, then yes, which is obviously like crashing and so forth and moving under braking and things, that will result in a 1 penalty point, which means Max would miss Silverstone next week. So we'll see how that plays out for him. Of course, if he goes without incident today, he will end up having 2 points or 3 points wiped off of his licence because it's been 12 months since he received those points. So no hard start strategy. I think we will see that. Of course, what Pirelli suggests here isn't always what happens. I think Pirelli probably didn't predict that there would be 50-degree track temperatures today. So I think that's why a free stop hasn't been mentioned here. The one stopper, we have seen it here in the past, but with these track temps, I don't think the one stop is going to be viable. Someone will try it to hold on to track position, no doubt. Probably the hard to medium. Start on the hards, as we mentioned. Go long, hope for a safety car. And someone like Yuki Tsunoda will be doing that today. Carlos Sainz, no doubt. Those towards the bottom end who have a bit of pace in their car, generally speaking. But yeah, I think the free stop is something that we could see. And I think we have seen a free stop here in the past at the Red Bull Ring. So tyre allocations, what does that leave open for drivers? Well, you can see there that other than Yuki Tsunoda, the top 10 pretty much have all exactly the same tyres available to them. Well, I say that, the top 10, because Lawson and Bortoleto are in the top 10 there. And Lawson actually only has 1 fresh set of mediums available to him, whereas Bortoleto has 2 fresh new sets. Yuki has 2 fresh new softs, of course, because he failed to make it out of Q1. But Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen, Russell, Antonelli, pretty much, they're all on the same. They can all be on the same strategy, arguably, but how they utilise those 2 medium tyres is going to be the key here, really. Do they use the hard compound tyre in the middle stint, or do they use it at the end of the stint? We will see. But yes, with a free stop strategy even predicted, we could see the soft tyre may be used as well at the end. How many sets of tyres do each driver have left for this race? You can see there the number that they have next to them indicates how many tyres they have available, whether they are used, new, or whether they're used or new. So yeah, it leaves it pretty open, to be honest with you. No one is kind of dialed in or committed to a strategy. They can mix it up as they see fit, of course, as we mentioned here. So I think this is probably what they're going to aim for, but the free stopper may be something that we do see with a soft tyre used, because no one has 2 new, other than Ocon and Behrman, they're the only ones who have 2 new hards available to them. So do I think Bortoleto can get a top 10 finish? 100% he can, yeah. I mean, that Stake F1, he is there fully on merit this weekend, Bortoleto. He has had pace in that Stake F1 car. He is, in every single practice session, been in the top 10, and then he's qualified in the top 10 as well. So yes, he is well and truly in it for points today. I don't think anyone behind him kind of can probably push him. We'll see how he gets on. This race pace is very different, of course, to how it is over a single lap. But even so, he's looked very good in practice. Do I think Lawson can score some points today? I do. What may be tricky for Lawson, though, is that fact that he does not have 2 brand new sets of mediums available to him. Is it a disadvantage today because he has to use a set of used softs at minimum, and that could be where it's his downfall. We'll see how that fares for him, but yeah, the last stint may be somewhere, it may be work out really well for him, and the soft tyre is the best tyre to be on at the end, but it could be a bit tricky for him in the latter stages of the race, so we'll see how he fares. When I feel like Bortoleto will crash lap 1, everything always seems to go wrong for a driver in race day. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Not long to go, guys. 22 minutes until the formation lap gets underway. So let's have a look at race pace, shall we? And this is data gathered throughout the duration of the practice sessions that we have seen on Friday and Saturday morning. And, well, unsurprisingly, McLaren are the quickest, as we have seen from Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Mercedes do seem to be second quickest. Now Ferrari, they were a bit hampered on particularly Friday with a gearbox issue for them, and they weren't too comfortable with their long runs and just their overall practice sessions on Friday, so that may have skewed their simulation pace because FP3 was a very different session yesterday. So take that with a pinch of salt. Of course, they're starting second and fourth today. We'll see how they fare. They seem quietly positive. Doesn't bode well for, of course, Bortoleto down there in Kick Sauber with them being the slowest, but is that true? We don't know. Of course, it is. I'm surprised Williams there actually is bang in the middle. Williams have struggled from what I've personally seen throughout this weekend in practice. So we'll see how they fare. Sainz could be looking at charging up the field starting in 19th today. But yeah, take these with a pinch of salt. They're not always accurate, but they're kind of a good assessment to an extent. Now, this is the interesting one, guys. The green flag, the pit stop lost time, and the safety car pit stop lost time. 20.3 seconds here, so not overall a particularly long pit stop lost time, which is why we do see multiple stops here. It's a very small circuit, however, so 20 seconds is still a third, pretty much, of the time that you lose over a lap here at the Red Bull Ring. But 9.3 seconds, less than half the time it takes to pit under green flag is the advantage you get under safety car and VSC conditions. That is what a few drivers no doubt will be banking on, and if they do get that, and it's highly likely that we get a safety car here, as you can see there, 50% of the time in the last 7 years we have seen a safety car, no red flags surprisingly, and 38% of the time we've seen VSCs. That's quite high, so that is going to be a massive advantage to a few drivers if they're able to hold out for that, and they manage to luck into it to an extent. Oh God, give a safety car before 5 laps remaining when Max is on soft and everyone's on hards. Abu Dhabi 21 all over again. It would be good for F1 if Lawson or Bortoleto places on the podium. It'd be amazing, but it's not going to happen unless it's absolute carnage, because there's a lot of cars ahead of them, a lot quicker cars as well. But yes, Max Verstappen. Look, that Red Bull, he has not been happy in that car all weekend. I did put out a poll separate to this one of who do you think will win the race, and I did exclude Max Verstappen because he started in 7th, and the amount of comments that I got stating Max Verstappen, he's won from 17th before. But this is a very different car that he's driving here this weekend. It's not the same car that he drove in Brazil. It's not the same conditions, not the same track. While overtaking is possible here, that Red Bull, I'm still concerned about his tyre management. I really am. And the fact that Max has been struggling with the grip in every single type of corner at Red Bull Ring here this weekend, I think it's going to be... I think a podium would be an unbelievable drive from Max, to be honest with you, especially if there's no incident ahead of him. If he's able to make up 4 positions and finish on the podium, that is bloody brilliant. But the top 2 positions, I think, are out of his reach today. A podium would be like a win for him today. You've got some over-enthusiastic Verstappen fans in here. There's nothing wrong with being enthusiastic. Nothing wrong whatsoever. But I'll always, and there's plenty of other enthusiastic race fans in here as well. But I'll always, as I said, guys, you come to me, I will provide you my logic. I'll always give my opinions, and there'll be logic behind my reasons and my statements. So... who will crash today? You're tipping Colapinto, Lawson and Norris? I don't know. I think someone is going to lose their front wing at the start of this race. Like, it just always happens up into turn 3. So I think that's what's going to happen at some point. But these are the strategy options predicted by Pirelli today. But I do think we could see a free stopper at bare minimum. I think it's a two-stopper. Someone like Esteban Ocon, as we know, Haas, they try and bank on always trying to go long. I think someone will try and do a one-stopper. A couple of drivers will do, but I don't think it's going to work out for them. And I think it will mostly they'll be forced into that one-stopper because they're hoping on a safety car to bank on it. But yeah. Max couldn't overtake a forklift on this track with his car. I disagree to that extent. You're 50 kilometers away from the ring today, and it will get hot, Andreas. Yes, well, it already is. Track temperatures, from what we showed you earlier, were 50 degrees, and I think it has risen since then. No, it's still 50 degrees, or just under 50 degrees at the moment. Of course, if the sun goes behind cloud cover, then the track temperature does drop a couple of degrees. But as soon as it comes back out, it shoots up. But even so, that is hot for a circuit like Red Bull Ring, and yeah, where you need a lot of rear traction here. And you also need a lot of front traction. It's pretty much all areas of the car take a lot of load here, which is why we'll probably see a two-stopper. Gasly with the one to lose a front wing early. He does like losing a front wing at the start of the race, isn't he? Charles Leclerc has also lost a few front wings here, or had front wing damage a few times in his time at the Red Bull Ring. And of course, starting second today. Given a total max during quali is the least Yuki could do for the team. Yeah, I did say if Yuki could get into Q3, that's what they would have implemented, but he didn't. Yuki obviously went out in Q1, and Yuki at the moment showcasing what we already knew, that second Red Bull seat is a poison chalice. And yeah, unfortunately, he'll have to deal with that to the end of the season. Whereas now he might be thinking, oh, I wish I'd stayed. Part of me probably thinks I wish I'd stayed in that RB car. But yeah, we'll see how he fares to the end of the season. What is the time loss for the pit stop, mister? The pit stop loss time is 20 seconds. So that is the gap that McLaren and the front boys will be looking at to pit into. And I think that's a gap that really McLaren are going to pull out pretty comfortably quite early on. That's a third of the time it takes to get, or nearly a third of the time it takes to get round the Red Bull Ring. It's a quite considerable one, which is why that 9.3 seconds, that 11 second advantage there, over half the time difference between pitting under green flag to pitting under a safety car or VSC. That is going to be very influential today. So, what about Bortoletto turning the battery off to give Max a qualito? Did he do that? I don't think he did that, did he? Maybe I missed that. So, you need Carlos Sainz to be in the points, please. It's a tall order for him, but we will see. Sky taking the time to interview the women on the grid today is cool. Yeah, everyone deserves their spotlight. I like hearing from different people within the sport as well. It's nice to see different engineers and those. I mean, not everyone obviously wants to be interviewed, but it's always cool to see different people within the sport and just. You see all these people surrounding the car, but part of you is like, oh, what's their exact role? What's his exact role? And I think that's always really intriguing to get to know the team as a whole. Like I was very fortunate to go and see Mercedes, get a tour of the Mercedes factory a couple of years ago, and it was eye-opening, the operation that it takes to create just two cars. Like, it is... Especially the design team. The design team is unbelievable. Coming from construction, where I work similarly in that fashion, with a team, with, of course, different units, commercial, operations, design, to go and see the design team was crazy. Absolutely crazy, the amount of people they have designing every little nook and cranny on those cars. It's mad. Would it be red flags in this race? Who knows, Chad? Who knows? Potentially, but there's never been a red flag in the last 7 years, so we'll see how that fares. Just seen Bortoletto saying he turns down the battery to give Verstappen the tow. Oh, okay, fair enough, he did then. There he did. So... Sorry, guys, just bear with me. Those spamming links or putting links in the chat, by the way, that you will be removed. Just FYI. Mods, if you can keep on top of that. If you're around, that'd be great. Grassfires are going to be the driver of the day today. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I wonder if they've sorted anything in relation to that. But yes, we have 13 minutes. Those are the strategy options one last time. Everyone pretty much has the same options available to them in the top 10, other than Yuki Tsunoda, of course, here, who's not in the top 10. Lawson, we'll keep an eye on Lawson because he has only one medium available to him, whereas the likes of Bortoletto has 2. How will that be of a detriment to him later on in the race? We will see, because we do predict it's going to be a 2-stop and potentially even a 3-stop. But yeah, that's it, guys, for the strategy options today. Right, just get all my telemetry and everything back up and set up. And we'll be ready to rock and roll. Risk of rain for the race today, guys, by the way, 0% chance of rain today, unsurprisingly. So, yeah. So, of course, today, permutations for the championship. Well, as you know, Oscar Piastri, I'll bring these over in a second. We'll have a look at the championship standings, shall we? We can have a look at those. Where's that disappeared? There it is. First race you watched this channel a year ago. How time flies. Ah, brilliant to be. Brilliant. It's, you've stuck around for a year. Much appreciated. Right, here we go. We're ready to rock and roll. There we go. Right, so let's show you the championship standings at the moment. So if you're unaware of it, Oscar Piastri currently leads 22 points from Lando Norris after getting a 4th place position last time around in Canada, and Lando scoring 0 points. So he is looking to close down that gap on Piastri today. Now, if Piastri finishes 2nd and it is a 1-2 for McLaren and Norris wins, then Piastri would lose 7 points to Lando Norris, 25 points to 18. So, yes, there could be a 7-point turnaround there. So that gap would go down from 22 to 15 points for Lando. But, of course, he can only focus on himself and win the race. And then whatever Piastri does. Max Verstappen, 155 points to Piastri's 198. Of course, lost out a lot of points when he got that penalty in Spain. Finished 2nd last time around, so we did gain a few points back last time out in Canada. But he is still in this championship, Verstappen. He is still in it. If the McLarens collide a bit too often, he is still in it. But today he has a lot to do, starting from 7th place. George Russell closing down the gap on the top 3 as well. 136 points now after his win in Canada. Charles Leclerc, the only other driver in 100 points range. Lewis in 6th. He pulled a little bit away from Antonelli. But Antonelli has closed down last time with a podium finish in Canada last time out. Albon, he's looking to try and score more points again for Williams in P8. As you can see towards the bottom there, Bortoleto trying to score his first points of his F1 career. So he is looking to score those points, and he is definitely the lead stake F1 driver this weekend. Hulkenberg scored points in the last 2 races, so we'll see if Bortoleto can make it 3 races in a row where Stake F1 score points. Hulkenberg starting dead last today, so it's not really likely for him to score points, but never say never. Carlos Sainz looking to improve, but yeah, only on 13 points at the moment. Williams are 5th place in the Constructors, 55 points for them. Haas are slightly catching them up, but they're a bit of an outside shot of scoring points today. McLaren clearly running away with it. It's quite close for 2nd place in the Constructors. Mercedes and Ferrari are close. Red Bull, we know, is solely reliant at the moment on Max Verstappen. So, yeah, quite close there in the Constructors. For 2nd, 1st place, I think we can already pretty much write it off that McLaren's going to win that. And I'll keep you guys up to date with those permutations later on. And we'll have a look at what the championship standings looks like once the race has ended. We think Lando will try to do a late break at turn 3 to keep Charles behind him. I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think what he'll do is that I think if you're Lando Norris, I've done... The only way that I have to relate here, guys, is my experience in iRacing. But what you do generally is that if you're in P1, you defend the inside into turn 1, and no further investigation, by the way, for Oscar Piastri. Maximum delta time there, you can see. But pretty much what you do is that you defend the inside into turn 3, and then even if that person gets a better exit out of turn 3 because they're on the outside, you defend the inside into turn 4, of course, with the racing rules and so forth. Even if you have to leave room, you've got the ground, you've got the better traction if you're on the inside through turn 4. So it's all about positioning yourself for turn 4. No DRS at the start, of course, on lap 1. And it's just all about maintaining your position into turn 4, pretty much. That's it. Hey, James, good to see you, mates. Welcome, welcome. Evening, Rod. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yes, welcome everyone. Not long to go. Just under 8 minutes. Well, 8 minutes now until the session starts. The formation lap gets underway. I'll bring that down there so we can see that. It's very awkward the way this track map is at the moment. Because I can't... Let's see. Can I move this a bit over there? Maybe. But it's a bit... Yeah, it's just a bit tricky at the moment, to be honest with you. With how it's laid out. Family on the iRacing streams. You do a really awesome job with the F1 commentary. Thank you, SoCal. Much appreciated. Is my name Scott? It is Ghost, yeah. Hypothetical. If Max went to McLaren, which driver should they let go? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't want to... I'll let you guys decide. Who would you say? From a logical perspective. Who should they let go? That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I know people want my pin, but I'm asking chat first. Because I know it would probably pee off a few people. Probably Oscar can't have 2 number 1 drivers or Max will be furious. I think they would probably let... Piastri go. Because he hasn't been there long enough as Lando, and I think they would probably go, well, Max and Lando have that a better off-track relationship already. I think so. I think they've done the right decision in keeping both of them, though. I don't think bringing Max in would do very well with that team dynamic, but yeah. Kaka, 32 months. Thank you, buddy. Welcome, welcome. And thank you. Oh, Michael, thank you. Have a pint. I definitely will. Thank you for the $10. Much appreciated. And thank you for everyone tuning in. As always, we're trying to hit 50,000 subscribers. Will we be able to do it today? I'm not so sure. But if you can hit that subscribe button, it'd be much appreciated. James, 18 months. Wow, how time flies, guys. Yeah, thank you for the support, as always. Over 2,500 of you in the stream right now. Hit that like button and get this stream to over 1,000 likes. Can we do that before the race even begins? Maybe we can. But this is a new track map. You can see the pitch. Yes, it is. I can actually do this, guys. But I don't... I think it's a little bit too... I think it's a little bit too messy right now. So what I can do is I can actually put the DRS zones... I can do that. Don't know if you guys want that. And I can also put the sector times there. But I think there's too many colours. I can't adjust any of the colours, I believe, at the moment. It's just a bit too messy. Even if you put the sector times like this. I don't know. I don't particularly like it like that. That's very good for qualifying, maybe. But yeah. I think simple's better. I think simple's better. If we could get some more adjustability, I think that'd be great. But even with the DRS stuff, I think even with the DRS zones, I think it's just a little bit too bulky. It's a bit too overpowering, especially with the icons as well. So you've got the DRS activations here, so we know exactly who's got DRS and when it's being opened. So I think plain and simple for now. Until I can do more to it and make it a bit easier. So I can't rotate it on the axis, no, Raven, and that is a feature that I will be requesting for. It really frustrates me that we can't rotate it on its axis. I have tried. There's no way that, unless I'm completely dumb and I'm missing a trick, there is no way that I can see to rotate on its axis. Because I would very much, for this whole stream layout, to fit things nice and neat, you know, a bit like Tetris. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to find a way to do it. But yes, that is what we can see there. The pit lane, some new functions being added to multi-view, which is brilliant to better improve the experience for you. But Moonwalker, thank you for the €5. Mercedes ruffling feathers at Red Bull, and you love it. Yeah, it's going to be super intriguing. So we've got just over 3.5 minutes until formation lap gets underway, guys. I'm going to have a quick loo break. I suggest you guys do the same, and we will have the tyre allocations any minute now. The tyre blankets will be coming off, and we'll be able to see what drivers are started on. I'm going to predict everyone in the top 10 starts on the medium. Maybe Lewis starts on the hard. Maybe they decide to split strategy at Ferrari. We'll see. And I reckon we'll see the likes of those towards the latter end of the grid. We'll see them starting on the hard compound tyre. Nothing really... I'll be very surprised if we see someone on the soft compound tyre. But yes, guys, quick loo break. I suggest you do the same, as when we come back, we will be fast approaching the formation lap. And the Austrian Grand Prix getting underway. Oh, there we go. Wow. Okay, I was wrong. What do I know? We are seeing a lot more soft compound tyres. I did not think we would see that. Pierre Gasly's the only one that makes it... Pierre Gasly's the only one who makes it the only driver in the top 10 not to be on softs. I nearly got that correctly. But you can see there, Norris, okay, good. Ferrari haven't gone for that split strategy with Lewis starting on the hards or on the softs. So I think that's the correct decision there. Top 9 are starting all on brand new mediums, as we saw earlier on with those tyre allocations. They are able to... They all have two brand new mediums available to them today. Only Liam Lawson is the driver in that top 9 or that top 10 who doesn't have 2 mediums available. So we'll see how he fares and how that affects him later on in the race. We can see that Hadjar's on the softs, Colapinto and Behrman on the softs as well, and Hulkenberg on the softs. So, does that mean they're already predicting it's going to be a free-stop strategy today? Is that them committing to that free-stop strategy early? We can see there the track temperature is 50.4 degrees at this moment in time. That is very hot. So I think if it was cooler, we might not see the softs used so early. But yeah, intriguing strategy. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them. Let me know if you understood that reference. Right. Not long to go. Take off the start timer. I will indeed. I will do that now. So we can see there that we've got the race control messages. I apologise if it's maybe positioned a little bit awkwardly, but that's the only place I can kind of put it at this moment in time. But you can see there, you can see all the relevant information. We will have, of course, the last lap there as well. Everything that it is covering is not relevant, as we are not going to see any rain today. But yes, drivers are on their formation lap. Here we go, guys. I hope you are enjoying this stream. Welcome. I hope you are ready for an interesting Austrian Grand Prix. We will run through this grid, as it is a very short lap here at the Red Bull Ring. Only just over a minute long. We saw Lando Norris get pole position yesterday with a 1:03.9, a tremendous lap time from him. We'll see if he is able to lead at the end of the first lap and maintain and control this race, as he has been the quickest driver throughout this weekend. Lando Norris is on pole position with Charles Leclerc in a brilliant P2, a two Ferraris in the top four, something that I personally didn't expect to see. With Oscar Piastri in P3, we know that his lap time got impeded by Pierre Gasly spinning out of the last corner, but still not too shabby from him, starting on the second row. Still hasn't qualified worse than P4 this season. Hamilton in P4, good for him. He's hoping for a podium today. We'll see if he can convert that. Russell in P5. Liam Lawson, his best qualifying of the year, and finally maybe building some confidence in that RB car, is in P6, out qualifying Max Verstappen. But he was also another driver who had his qualifying lap impeded. As we can see that Sainz has an issue. Apologies there. Carlos Sainz has stalled. We haven't seen a driver stall on the starting grid for quite some time, and there is a yellow flag, and this could be an aborted start at the Red Bull Ring. And it is confirmed. Aborted start, and Carlos Sainz, well, he said he had damage yesterday in qualifying. He qualified in 19th place, his third successive elimination in Q1, and well, he is not going to start this race, and we have an aborted start. Drama already before the race begins. So we're only going to have 19 drivers line up for this race today. That's a shame, but it's a very long time since we have seen a driver stall or have an engine issue on the race start. So drivers will make it their way to their grid slots. They'll line up as Sainz has got going again. Oh, just before everyone got to him. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you can't park there, mate. You can't park there, but he has received assistance from the stewards to get going. So I don't know what the rules are, guys. I really can't tell you what the rules are. We do have an aborted start. Will Carlos Sainz be able to start this race? Potentially, because he has received assistance from the stewards before the race begun. So it's Carlos Sainz making his way round. The engineers are back out in preparation for this aborted start. We'll see if they get going again. I don't know what's going to occur here. We'll keep you updated, and we'll run through the grid again when they go on their second formation lap. But Carlos Sainz, I think he's okay, because the rule is that once the race is ongoing and you crash, you're not able to, or you spin, you're not able, hang on. This was an aborted start. This is an aborted start. So the engineers are back out there, by the way, guys. So no doubt they're going to go through their start procedures again, do the formation lap. Yes, the engineers, I'm watching the TV coverage, they're all around their cars again. They've all rushed into the pit lane, and they're all rushing back out to get the drivers, to get, obviously, the tyre blankets back onto their cars and get the start procedures again. But yes, Carlos Sainz moves his way into the pit lane, and it probably will be a pit lane start from Carlos Sainz because of that. But very, very odd. Haven't seen that in quite some time. Haven't seen that for quite some time. Yes, it does look like Carlos Sainz has made his way to the end of the pit lane there. So yes, in a race scenario, guys, if you crash and you receive assistance from the stewards to get going again, or any reason for that matter, you received outside assistance, and it means that you're unable to rejoin the race. But because the race hadn't officially started yet, because it was a formation lap, I think he's okay. Formation lap will start at 1/4 the hour. So let's update our timer, shall we? We've got a 10-minute delay to allow the teams to start again. So let's update our session counter, shall we? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Oh my goodness, there's a fire in the rear of Carlos Sainz's car now. So that issue, is that the brakes? Is it the brakes or is it the engine? Sainz says it feels like the car is still braking, and the rear brakes are on fire, and that could be a retirement from Carlos Sainz before he even begins. Oh dear, Carlos Sainz on fire. That's not good, is it? Oh, Carlos Sainz, his race weekend has gone from bad to worse, and he didn't even get to start the race. Unless the brakes are okay. We have seen the brakes get on fire before, and they are on fire sometimes when drivers make their way to the pit lane, but they are still spraying fire extinguishers on that car. This could delay the race start even further. because Carlos Sainz's car is still smoking quite heavily at the moment. So he can go for an early pint. He can indeed. Oh dear, oh dear. So let me get this counter back up for you guys. So at the moment, we do have that update that the race is going to be starting at 15 minutes past, or the formation lap again. We'll see if that is the case. Why does it say 1 hour start? No, not 1 hour, 2 p.m., isn't it? There we go. Hang on. So there we go, there we go. Session will start at 1/4 the hour, guys. 1/4 the hour. Oof. If it wasn't for bad luck, Carlos would have no luck at all. That's true, but his Williams career hasn't got off to a good start, has it? His Williams career hasn't got off to a good start. So if you're just joining us, guys, what has happened? Well, we did have an aborted start here because Carlos Sainz failed to get off of his grid slots, of course, starting down in 19th place, and it looks like he's still sitting in the car, but they're still spraying fire extinguishers on his car, by the way. So basically, Carlos Sainz aborted because he couldn't get away from his grid slot. The start was aborted, but then he could pull away. He made his way round to the pit lane. As he pulled in at the end of the pit lane to do a pit lane start, well, his brakes lit up and were on fire, and they are still, as they're wheeling that Williams back towards the garage, they are still spraying fire extinguishers on those rear brakes. So yeah, you're bored now, Spanners. Shush. It'll be alright. It'll be alright. Track 50 degrees, not hot enough for Sainz. Carlos at Williams has been as tough as Lewis at Ferrari. Yeah, I think so, to be honest with you. Yeah, I really do. Does DNS did not start give negative points in F1 Fantasy for the driver? That's a fair point, Ramvir. I don't know. Not entirely sure. How will this affect fuel of the cars? It won't affect them at all. So the formation, they always allow amount of fuel for a single formation lap. What it will do, and the total amount of laps in a race. So what we'll see now, as you can already see, is that the race has gone from a 71-lap race to a 70-lap race. So that is what will happen. They'll still have the same amount of fuel in the car. They're not allowed to top it up at all, and it just means that, yeah, the race is 1 lap shorter. It's not the car's fault. Carlos is just too hot. What was that about, Max? Do I think Max would take the Mercedes offer for 26? I think that's what's currently going on at the moment. I think they have put an offer in for him, but he's deciding whether to take it or not, I reckon. I think that's what's stalling George Russell's signature on his contract. So, but yes, at the moment, formation lap will start at 3:15. So just over 5 minutes there. You can see 6 minutes mark at the moment. Sorry, 3:15, 2:15, 3:15 local time, 2:15 UK time here. But you can see the timer counting down. It does look like that is going to be the case again, where the formation lap will get underway, unless we have another car that cannot start the race. But yeah, Carlos Sainz's car has been removed back into his garage, and he is out of that car. So it is a DNS, a did not start for Carlos Sainz. Track temperature is 50 degrees and climbing. It is indeed, yes. 30-degree air temperature there and 50.8 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but I know it is definitely hot at the moment. Toto will snatch Max if the season doesn't change direction for RB. Who will Merc drop, Antonelli or Russell? That is the question, isn't it? That is the question. I still think Russell is the one they'll drop. They've put too much time and money into Antonelli's development, and I think they really see him as the future of the team. So, yeah. What do I reckon the MPG will be on these cars? Oof, no idea. High. Hey, everyone. Yeah, tuning in from Australia. It's always great to see where you guys are tuning in from. But yeah, if you're just tuning in at the moment, there's 6,000 of you in the stream right now. Yeah, we do have a delay to the start of this race. We should already be underway right now. But yes, Carlos Sainz unable to get away from his grid slot at the start, which meant that there was an aborted start. He then made his way round to the pit lane after he got the car going again. But then the rear brakes lit on fire, and they had to retire the car before the race had even begun. So yes, because of that, the engineers made their way back out onto the starting grid after they had all dived into the pit lane, the majority of them anyway. And yes, they are now waiting, now going through their start procedure again. Put the tyre blankets back on, and yes, get the air fans back in there to keep the engine cool and so forth. Haven't they done the same with George? Nurtured him just to drop him when he's good? Potentially, Jimmy, yep. But things change, didn't they? The leadership changes as well. I still think that the leadership change at the head of Mercedes is playing a big factor in the pursuit of Max Verstappen right now. I think Toto, yes, is keen, but I think he also is being forced by those above his head. And yeah, that's there's been big leadership changes at Mercedes in the last couple of years. As Alonso is reporting, I cannot tell you the temperature of the seat. It's maybe, I don't know, 200 degrees. Fernando Alonso is getting hot. He is burning up in that Aston Martin cockpit right now, as they have the TV coverage on his face, and he is... looks like he's almost grimacing in pain at the moment. Of course, when you're stationary in an F1 car, I guess that's the only thing you can focus on. Of course, they sit very, very low to the ground. 49.8 degrees is the track temperature at the moment, and that is seeping its way up through the underside of that Aston Martin car, all of them at the moment. So yes, these drivers will want to get going as quick as possible so they can take their mind off of that and get some cool air blowing through the cockpit of their cars. Qatar heat flashbacks, yeah, literally. So it's not the hot seat he wanted. Ba-dum-dum-ch. As Russell is stating, make sure there's plenty of waters for the mechanics. Everyone's dripping. Oh, George Russell. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's good PR for him on the radio there, making sure all the engineers are looked after. Charles also might switch teams. There's rumours about that as well. Look, every single F1 driver looks after themselves. And Charles would love to win a championship at Ferrari. And ultimately, even though he's been at Ferrari for that many years, and it would seem unfeasible for a driver to leave Ferrari of their own accord to join another team. Normally, it's Ferrari letting the drivers go. You can't blame him, really. You can't blame him if Ferrari especially come out with the new regs and they are poor. And they're very far behind it. Ultimately, he's in F1 to win championships and win races. Everyone is. So, yeah, they all look after themselves, the drivers. They all have conversations behind the scenes, off-the-record conversations to look after their best interests, just as the teams do for themselves. Where will Russell go if he is let go, Jules? I think it will be a straight swap, to be honest with you. I think Red Bull would take him in. I think Red Bull would snap him up, to be honest with you. If not, yeah, plenty of teams up and down the grid would let a current contracted driver go for him because he is very highly rated. I am, and don't worry, I have plenty of fluids here to keep this voice and this throat lubricated for your guys' listening pleasure, as we have 1 minute until this formation lap gets underway. Yes, it has been delayed due to Carlos Sainz unable to get away from his grid stop there. He is now did not start a DNS for this Austrian Grand Prix. It looked like he might be able to start it from the pit lane, but yes, then his rear brakes decided to light up in flames. Very hot, the Red Bull Ring at the moment, 50.5 degrees Celsius. And, well, drivers complaining of the heat and temperature in their cockpit at the moment as they're sitting stationary on the grid and have been for the last 15 minutes. And, well, with drivers starting on the soft compound tyre, it is predicted to be a two-stop minimum strategy today with those temperatures. We are on the C5, C4 and C3, which towards the softer end of the compounds available in F1 for this weekend. Not quite the softest, of course, the C6 is the softest that we have seen utilised recently, but they're only at selected tracks. The Red Bull Ring, well, they do need a little bit of a harder tyre, but it is still going to make things very interesting here today. Could we see the free stopper? I think with those drivers starting on the softs towards the latter end there of the grid and not starting on the hard compound tyre, that is definitely a viable strategy today. So we will see. There we go. It's formation lap underway. We have our formation lap again for the second time here at the Red Bull Ring. Let's have a rundown of this starting grid, shall we? For the second time, Lando Norris is your pole sitter after a great drive yesterday, a 103.9 from him. He does seem to be the man definitely to beat, as he has been topping the timing screens of every session he has participated in. Of course, he set out FP1 for Alex Dunn, the rookie, the current F2 championship leader. Charles Leclerc is in P2, a great drive from him as well, something that I didn't personally expect that Ferrari to get on the front row. Oscar Piastri, we know, had his lap time interrupted there and was unable to improve because of Gasly's spin out of the last corner. Hamilton in P4, good for him starting on the second row as well. It's been a while we've seen Hamilton start that high up. Russell is in P5, the winner from Canada. Does he have better race pace than he does single lap pace? Lawson, his best qualifying of the year thus far, out qualifying his former teammate Max Verstappen at the start of this season in an RB. But we know that Verstappen is also had his lap time interrupted with Gasly's spin. He has a lot to do today, starting in 7th, and it's always fun watching Max come through the field. We'll see if he can do that today in a Red Bull that seems to be a bit tricky. Bortoletto, the first time he's been in Q3, and he's in a pacey stake F1. He is there on pure merit. No luck from him. Hopefully he can convert what has been a great weekend thus far into points. Antonelli, unable to kind of achieve the heights in qualifying thus far this weekend after his first podium in F1 in Canada. Gasly is in P10. Didn't expect the Alpine to get up there in P10. We'll see if he can convert points today. Alonso is in P11, going for his third race in a row, finishing in the points. Alex Albon in P12. Hadjar is in 13th. Colapinto 14th. Behrman 15th, Stroll 16th, Ocon 17th, Yuki Tsunoda, another Q1 exit from him in 18th. Sainz, we have just mentioned, has retired and is an early retirement from this race before the race even got underway. And Nico Hülkenberg, with issues yesterday with that stake F1 car, qualified dead last, and well, he is hoping to score his third race in a row, similar to Fernando Alonso in the points, but he has got a lot more work to do than that of Fernando Alonso. So here we go, guys. Drivers making their way round to the last couple of corners here. Nico Hülkenberg is the last driver to line up on the grid. It is moments away before the Austrian GP. That long run into turn 3, that is where it matters. Can Lando Norris hold on to the lead? We will see. It's a tight exit into turn 1. Drivers take to the escape road there very, very early on, of course, because these wide F1 cars, it's so difficult to get through turn 1 side by side. So we'll see drivers do that. Will we have no incident in the first lap? Can we see drivers make it through the first lap intact? Nico Hülkenberg bringing up the rear here. Here we go. It is green light. Away we go down to the first corner. It's a long run up into turn 1. Can Lando Norris hold on to that position from Charles Leclerc into the first corner? Is it job number 1 done for Charles Leclerc? Fernando Norris, it is indeed, as Oscar Piastri has got ahead of Charles Leclerc and he's on the rear wing of his teammate down into turn 3. Can Oscar Piastri, the championship leader, can he get ahead of his teammate under braking into turn 3? Or will Lando Norris have to hold? Or will Lando Norris come out ahead into turn 3? Bortoletto has got ahead of Liam Lawson. There's a yellow flag into turn 3, a double yellow. Has been contact. Max Verstappen is around, as is Kimi Antonelli. Max Verstappen, his day has gone from bad to worst. Lando Norris down into turn 4, holds on to the lead from his teammate from P2. Charles Leclerc is P3, but Max Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli have made contact. Let's have a look to see exactly what has occurred. There's still no safety car as I'm watching the replay. There's Kimi Antonelli. Oh my goodness, such a rookie mistake. He has come from absolutely miles back, locked up, safety car, and Max Verstappen is a complete passenger. It's similar to what we have seen all weekend in the F2 and F3 races. A driver has come from nowhere, they've locked up, misjudged it, and they've unwittingly taken out a complete passenger in the form of, this time around, Max Verstappen of all people, and that is fully on Kimi Antonelli. And well, I guess the only positive for Max Verstappen is that he will not have to worry about missing Silverstone next week, because he is out of this race and will receive no penalty points. But Kimi Antonelli most definitely will receive penalty points on his licence for what was a complete rookie mistake from the 18-year-old Italian. He's gone from the highs. He's gone from the highs of his first podium in Canada last time around to the lows of taking out the 4-time world champion. And Max, there's nothing Max can do. There's nothing Max can do. We see it so often, and Max waves to the crowd, and it's not how he wanted his race weekend to end. It's not what the Orange Army wanted this race weekend to go. Of course, thousands of fans. The Max Verstappen stand there, of course, in the middle of turn 6 and 7, the middle of the track, and Kimi Antonelli looks like he's apologising to Max Verstappen. Max, not really much he can say or do there. He doesn't look too upset. It is what it is, but need to see a replay of it again of what happened to Kimi Antonelli. Just unbelievable scenes here at the start of this race. Oscar Piastri got ahead of Charles Leclerc down into turn 1. It seems he had a much better start than the Ferrari. And, well, George Russell was trying to get past Lewis Hamilton there in the middle sector, but Hamilton was able to hold him off. Alex Albon is up 5 positions at this moment in time, guys. So I'm watching the race start again. Let's see exactly what occurred. As I'm watching the race start, and Lando Norris came all the way over, super aggressive to cover off Charles Leclerc, and that massively hampered Charles Leclerc down into turn 1 as he had such a tight entry into the first corner. And Oscar Piastri, who was on the outside but behind Charles Leclerc in the entry to turn 1, he had much more speed, much more grip, and, well, Lando, by covering off Charles Leclerc, has actually left the door open for his teammate to go into turn 1 there in second place. And, well, they were side by side under braking into turn 3. Both, oh my goodness, just watching it back now, and Kimi Antonelli just comes from absolutely nowhere. Liam Lawson is so lucky not to get damage. He actually has contact with Kimi Antonelli wheel to wheel. As I'm just watching the replay now, Max Verstappen is completely unaware. He's turning into the corner and he's out. I got hit like crazy. Effing idiots. And, well, yep, it is an idiotic move from Kimi Antonelli. A very, very big rookie mistake. And, oh, what has Kimi done? Kimi has just had... He's moved, he's got overspeed, he's trying to get past the drivers ahead of him, especially Liam Lawson, and he loses the rear under braking. The rear's locked, but it was a wild move from Kimi Antonelli there at the ends to try and... Yeah, that's just a typical rookie mistake there from Kimi Antonelli on lap 1. The car is not going to be that mobile in lap 1 with the high fuel that they have on that car. And the lack of temperature in those tyres as well. Not much more I can say about that, to be honest with you guys. Liam Lawson very fortunate to get away without any incident. Kimi Antonelli actually banged wheels with Lawson as he went through. But let's have a rundown of this grid, shall we? As we have just had 2 retirements. If you're just joining us, Max Verstappen is indeed out of this race as the race gets back underway. Apologies as we were taking everything in there. Let's go back on board with the race, shall we? As the safety car is in, as Lando Norris restarts his Austrian Grand Prix, as Max Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli retired there. We already have 3 retirements from this race. We can see Lando Norris leads down into turn 1 from Oscar Piastri. Charles Leclerc is 3rd with Hamilton 4th, Russell 5th, Gasly up 4 positions into 6th, Albon is 7th and Bortoletto 8th, Lawson 9th and Alonso is 10th as they make their way up to turn 3. As Lando Norris, there is no DRS at the moment, as the investigation, as that will be investigated after the race, Kimi Antonelli and Max Verstappen. But to be honest, it is a slam dunk for Kimi Antonelli as Norris holds on to P1 down into turn 3. DRS important for him to try and get out of the DRS of his teammates. That 1 second range, it will be activated next time around, and we have 3 DRS zones here at the Red Bull Ring as Hamilton's coming under attack from George Russell, who's trying to go around the outside of him into turn 4, and Lewis Hamilton makes him go around the long way, but Lewis Hamilton has just been taken away from his teammate there, as I think George Russell's gone down the inside of Lewis Hamilton into turn 6, and no, he's unable to make the position on Lewis Hamilton. He's forcing him out, and you can see the gap forming. Lewis Hamilton now a full second behind his teammate as DRS has now been activated, and he'll be runnable to George Russell, but up into turn 3, and, well, George Russell chomping at the bit here to try and get past his former teammate Lewis Hamilton. He's also trying to convince Mercedes still to sign that contract, sign me up, and, well, he has an opportunity again here today to try and do that as Norris leads from Piastri. DRS will now be activated for the first time. Piastri there, DRS open as they head into turn 3 as there's a slight jump in the telemetry at the moment. He's not close enough to the two drivers who are in equal machinery at this moment in time. Lewis Hamilton also has enough just to hold off George Russell at the moment, but he does not have DRS. It seems that George Russell had a slow getaway there through turn 3 and could be vulnerable to Pierre Gasly in the Alpine down into turn 4. No, it seemed to be a slight delay on the track map there as George Russell then did speed up, and well, he is still keeping the pressure on Lewis Hamilton at the moment, who out of the set of 17 drivers on the grid is the only driver not to have DRS from his teammate ahead. Well, I say that, you can see Charles Leclerc has just dropped out of that DRS of the two McLarens, who we do expect to be battling for their own race here this weekend. Of course, Piastri would love to win the race here and extend his championship lead from 22 points to 29 if he wins this race and Norris finishes second. Of course, Norris is looking to try and reduce that lead at the top of the standings, but Piastri currently holds over him to 15 points if this stays as it currently is. But at the moment, we're sixth on that sixth lap, 5 laps completed. Lando Norris leads from Oscar Piastri. Charles Leclerc is P3 with Hamilton P4. George Russell reports Lewis just closed the door under braking there. I am yet to see a replay whether that is the case as Piastri closes up again into turn 2. But you can see the superior rear traction that the McLaren has over the rest of the field, with Charles Leclerc now 1.5 seconds back from Oscar Piastri. Lewis Hamilton is 1.4 seconds back from his teammate as well, and he's going to be vulnerable potentially down into turn 4. No, George Russell not close enough just yet. Gasly and Albon up 4 and 5 positions respectively. Unbelievable there at the moment. Bortoletto is where he started in 8th place. Lawson is down 3 positions in P9, primarily due to, of course, what happened with Kimi Antonelli. He was caught out of position there, and because of Kimi Antonelli and Max Verstappen crashing in front of him, he lost 3 positions. So a real shame for Liam Lawson there, no fault of his own. Alonso's up a position into P10. Behrman's up 4 places in P11 as well, as there's been Colapinto and Behrman noted turn 3 incident. So is there damage out on track from those two? We will see, but the McLarens in a league of their own at the moment, as you can see, 109.4, 109.3 for Piastri and Norris, and Charles Leclerc done a 110.2. They are nearly a full second quicker in the early stages of this race than the rest of the field. Unbelievable there, as Piastri did try and go and poke a nose down into turn 4 last time around. Is he going to do the same this time around? Does Lando Norris have to cover the inside? We will see. Piastri going for the move maybe? No, has to hold position. Looks like he really needs to be around 6 to 5 tenths behind his teammate as they head out of turn 3. But a very long way to go in this race at the Austrian GP at the Red Bull Ring. 64 laps remaining as it currently stands. Norris leading from Oscar Piastri. That gap now 3.2 seconds from Norris to Charles Leclerc in P3. Remember, the pit stop loss here, guys, under green flag conditions is 20 seconds. That is the gaps that drivers will be looking at today, and the teams will be looking at to bring their drivers out into clean air, as we know clean air is king. And apologies, I missed that Isaac Hadjar is the only driver to actually make a single pit stop at this moment in time. So he is down in 17th place and has made a early pit stop. So maybe they decided, I'm not sure if he was maybe caught up and picked up some damage maybe in that furore at the start between Kimi Antonelli and Max Verstappen. Maybe it was his Red Bull that I saw in the way there, not Liam Lawson's. I think it was actually Liam Lawson's, but yes, Isaac Hadjar, regardless, has made the one and only pit stop in this race at the moment. But how long will those soft runners last? Pierre Gasly currently running in P6 as Piastri closes down again with that DRS down on into turn 4 on Lando Norris. 3 DRS zones here, remember, down the start-finish straight, then from turn 1 to turn 3, and then from that turn 3 to turn 4 section. As Colapinto looks to be coming under attack from Lance Stroll in P13. He's very close, but Colapinto covers him off at the moment. But Gasly, is he starting to struggle on those softs? At 1:10.8 last time around. Maybe 10-lap-old softs he's on at the moment. How long will they last for? Starting to lose a bit of ground on George Russell, as George Russell was actually lost quite considerable ground on Lewis Hamilton at the moment. 1.6 seconds back from the Ferrari driver. And Hamilton sitting 2 seconds back from his teammate. Are they already thinking about their strategy? Are they already thinking about the long-term game here? Norris and Piastri in a league of their own, though, in those rocket ship McLarens. We know that they have been super quick here this weekend, as Lando is currently covering off Oscar Piastri as he really closes under braking there. You can see the interval drop down from around 9 tenths, 8 tenths under braking into turn 3. And, well, Lando Norris just has enough at this moment in time to hold off his teammates. And, of course, Piastri thinking about, as well, the long game here of the championship. He doesn't want to do what his teammate did last weekend when they were battling and lose all-important points, especially with Lando Norris potentially winning this race today. If roles were reversed, that would be a 25-point swing if Piastri was to not finish in this race, unlike what Norris lost to Piastri last time around as he finished 4th in Canada. So yes, Piastri thinking about, no doubt, the championship as a whole, but if he can keep the pressure on his teammate, who has been notorious for making mistakes, then this is going to be a very intriguing race today. As Piastri, DRS, he got a nice exit out of turn 10 there, actually. Let's see how his exit is. It's the closest he's been for quite some time through turn 1. Let's see how his exit is through turn 1. Can he keep the traction down? And he loses a little bit in the dirty air of his teammate. But he's got DRS open, as we know, as he has done since the start of this race. He's going to be closer than he has been for quite some time, as there's no further action for Colapinto and Bearman for a turn 3 incident. How is his traction out of turn 3? He is closer than he has been for quite some time. He's half a second back. Is Lando Norris going to have to cover off the inside here? I think he may have to. He's going to have to go defensive down into turn 4. Will Piastri go for a late lunge? He's very close. He's under his rear wing. And no, he's just not close enough yet to force his teammate out of position. But he is piling on the pressure at this moment in time. There's 61 laps remaining, and that is a very long way for Lando Norris to hold off Oscar Piastri. Of course, Oscar Piastri, we know how good he is at chasing. Baku last year, of course, chasing down Charles Leclerc and eventually getting his man, as Alex Albon has finally got past Pierre Gasly, who's potentially starting to struggle on those soft compound tyres. Will he pit? We will see. If he pits, he will come out behind the rest of the field, but importantly, into clean air. So we will see what Alpine are going to do. We are racing. This looks good for both McLaren drivers. Indeed, it does. As apologies, there is a slight delay in the live data at this moment in time. Not entirely sure what is occurring. Let's just refresh it and see if something is going to happen here. There we go. Hang on. What's going on here? Come on. Come back to me. We've lost data. There we go. We're back. We're back. Apologies for the delay there in the data, but we are back as Piastri has got side by side with Lando Norris there down into turn 4. Wow, we rejoined the action there with Piastri very, very close to Lando Norris. He actually went for a move down into turn 4, and he was side by side of him into turn 6 as well. Oh, apologies there for the slight delay in the action. But yes, Oscar Piastri did get a good run on Lando, and Lando actually got DRS back on Oscar Piastri as Piastri went into the DRS zone down into turn 3 ahead. And well, DRS games maybe being played there as Norris actually used the DRS to defend on the inside. And Piastri went on the inside. He tried to poke his nose on Lando Norris down into turn 6, but Lando had the grip. So yes, the front two, the McLarens are fighting it out here, but they're being very respectful and leaving room. Of course, papaya rules no doubt in place here at this moment in time. But Lando Norris, as Ollie Bearman pits, he's the first driver on the softs to pits, other than Isaac Hadjar at the start of this race. No doubt Pierre Gasly, who's currently there holding off Bortoletto, he's actually doing quite nicely, Pierre Gasly. He's not losing too much ground at the moment, but Norris and Piastri fighting very, very hard but very fair at this moment in time between the two McLaren drivers, as Bortoletto is looking to get past Pierre Gasly here down into turn 4, as Stroll was also lost, looked like he was trading positions with Colapinto as well as Pierre Gasly. Can he hold off Bortoletto on those aging soft tyres? And I think he cannot, as Bortoletto, the Brazilian driver, the first time he has made it into Q3, but Pierre Gasly comes back at Bortoletto. They're trading positions here, but Bortoletto on much fresher medium compound tyres is able to hold off Pierre Gasly. We are seeing fair, hard but respectful wheel-to-wheel racing here today at the Red Bull Ring, and that's exactly what we want to see as F1 fans. Brilliant racing between these guys. No ahead at the apex ridiculousness, just fair, hard racing. Love to see it at the Red Bull Ring, and that is why it's personally a favourite of mine. As we see Gasly now, he dives into the pit, so maybe lost a little bit of important time there by trying to fight Gabriel Bortoletto, as we can see Gasly fall through the field there. He is going to rejoin us. Hulkenberg also hits the pits as well. Bearman is on the hard compound tyre. We'll see how that strategy fares for him. Can Bearman potentially do the undercut on Pierre Gasly? We we will see how much time did Gasly lose on that set of softs at the start of this race. And, well, who's going to get out ahead here? I think Ollie Behrman is going to get out ahead. No, he's going to be in the slipstream of Pierre Gasly as they make their way down into turn 3, but he will have the advantage here. No DRS. He will have the advantage of 1 lap fresher tyres, 1 lap warmer tyres as they were heading into the braking zone of turn 3. Can Gasly hold off Ollie Behrman? We will see as they make their way down into turn 4. DRS will now be activated for Ollie Behrman as they make their way down into turn 4. And, well, Gasly, who unfortunately seems to have lost quite a bit of time fighting on those soft compound tyres, well, he's just lost a position and been undercut by Ollie Behrman there. But we'll see if Behrman can hold on to that position once Gasly gets his tyres into the correct window. But as we head up to the top of the field again, Norris looking to defend from Oscar Piastri as he's continuing to keep the pressure on at the moment. He hasn't left the DRS of Norris since the restart of this race. As Alex Albon now into the pits as well, we're starting to see some drivers come into the pits, and I'm surprised Albon actually is pitting on those medium compound tyres. And, well, is this just to potentially cover off Ollie Behrman, who seems to be going quite nicely on that set of hards? Of course, Albon did get ahead of Pierre Gasly, and yes, I think that's exactly what they were doing there. They pitted Albon to cover off any potential undercut of Ollie Behrman and ensure that he gets out in clean air. Of course, Albon been very critical recently of the Williams team in relation to their strategies, and, well, he no doubt will be quite happy with that one, I reckon. But, well, Dan McLaren, be consistent. Safe to say, I'm impressed. Yeah, I don't think it's a boring race at the moment, guys. We are seeing some great will-to-will racing as Oscar Piastri has had a tremendous exit out of turn 10 there. He's all under the rear wing of Lando Norris, but he's not going to go for that position into turn 1 because it would be suicide to do so with such a long run down into turn 3. He's got the DRS open. He's half a second behind, but he didn't quite get the exit he wanted out of turn 1. It's definitely the right strategy. Norris is going to have to go defensive here, but of course, he will have another opportunity out of turn 3 down to turn 4. How is that interval for Piastri with Norris? Norris most definitely going to have to cover off the inside here from Oscar Piastri and force him to go around the long way as they're going to go side by side into turn 4 once again under braking. And Oscar Piastri, he has to concede that Lando Norris has track position at this moment in time. And, well, Lando Norris there, you can see turn 10 last lap, his lap time was deleted. He dipped a wheel in the gravel and he just lost a bit of time, but he covered off the inside perfectly, and he's positioning his McLaren as the lead car comfortably at the moment, ensuring that his teammate has to go the long way round. And he's not giving his teammate at the moment an opportunity to go down the inside. But, of course, it is still a very, very long way in this race. 55 laps remaining as Lando Norris. Is he going to be able to hold off Oscar Piastri down into turn 1 this time around? He will indeed, as Ollie Behrman has just lost the position now to Pierre Gasly. So now Gasly has got his hard compound tyres up to temperature. He has regained that position from Ollie Behrman that he lost on his outlap from the young Britishman. So, yes, British driver. So Ollie Behrman in 15th, Gasly in 14th at the moment, down 4 positions, but of course he has made a pit stop. The majority of the field still yet to make a pit stop, as technically Lance Stroll is last in this field. He is is he net last? Yeah, Lance Stroll is technically net last in this field. Potentially Isaac Hadjar as well. As Alex Albon is in the pits again? Alex Albon's in the pits again. Oh no, Alex Albon. Alex Albon's in the pits again. He's done 2 laps on that set of mediums and he's back into the pits. What has happened to Alex Albon? As Norris is still holding off Oscar Piastri at the moment. Alex Albon, what has happened? I'm waiting to hear to see what has occurred. Is this a retirement from Alex Albon? Is this a double retirement from Alex Albon and the Williams? What a poor run of form it has been for him. Is he getting going again? He's still in the pits. I think this is another retirement. As Charles Leclerc, we need Lyco all corners, Charles, every lap. That's what I'm doing, Brian. That's what I'm doing, reports Charles Leclerc to his engineer. But it seems that it's a double retirement from Williams, unfortunately, which still hasn't been picked up by the TV coverage. So once I hear more, I will relay it to you. But yes, not looking good for Alex Albon, unfortunately, here. But Lando Norris under attack again from Oscar Piastri, who is still in that DRS. He hasn't left it since the race restart, but he's not going to be close enough here down into turn 4. And yes, Alex Albon confirmed as they're wheeling his Williams back into the garage. Alex Albon, another retirement for him. And what a poor run of form it has been for Williams recently. Unbelievable circumstances considering how their season started and how strong they have been. RIP your fantasy teams if you have Williams in them. Go check them now, guys. Go check them now. I'm still waiting to hear what exactly has happened with Williams. Is it another engine issue? Hang on. No report yet from Williams exactly what has caused that that retirement. Just something to do with temperatures. So maybe another power unit issue or something definitely internal occurring there that is causing issues with that Williams team. Of course, Carlos Sainz already retired. He had issues off the grid start, which caused an aborted start to this race. And then his rear brakes lit on fire, as we have seen a double retirement there from the two Williams drivers. At the start of this race, as Norris is reported, opportunity, make turn 6 apex, it makes harder for the other car, as Lando receiving a bit of coaching again from Will over the radio. Not sure how I personally agree with that, but Lando did not respond, so Lando taking it in stock, no doubt. So turn 6, trying to hit the apex there to ensure that the car behind has more dirty air and maybe a bit more understeer and uses more of their tyre life through turn 6. It's a very off-cambered corner through there, as I'm watching an incident between Yuki Tsunoda and Lance Stroll, as there's contact between Stroll and Tsunoda and a bit of wheel banging between the two of them. It seems that Yuki Tsunoda has received a bit of front wing end plate damage to his Red Bull, and that has been noted by the stewards. I think personally that seems to be a little bit on Yuki Tsunoda, as he was leaving Lance Stroll no room on the outside, and Lance Stroll was entitled to that space as he was the car ahead. But Norris under attack still from Oscar Piastri. Let's take stock of this race as it currently stands, as Piastri in the DRS, late under braking, as George Russell now dives into the pit lane. He's the first driver out of the top 5 to make a pit stop, as Lando Norris will keep on board with those two, as they're still trying, as Oscar Piastri is still trying to gain that position from Lando at this moment in time. This is what it's going to be like for the remaining 52 laps, no doubt. And Lando still holds off Oscar Piastri as he's defending and positioning his car very well as the lead McLaren at the moment. But Norris is leading from Oscar Piastri, who Piastri gained a position on the first lap from Charles Leclerc into the first corner. Charles Leclerc is third place, 6.2 seconds behind the McLarens at the moment, and well, we expected the Ferraris to not even compete with the McLarens today, as they are truly rocket ships at this track, but they are comfortably the best of the rest at the moment, with Lewis Hamilton P4 as well, 2.8 seconds behind his teammate. It could be a very lonely race today for the two Ferrari drivers. George Russell was P5, but he's just decided to pit and he's out on a second fresh set of mediums, as Lance Stroll is holding off at the moment. Who is Lance Stroll fighting with? Isaac Hadjar at the moment. Lance Stroll is fighting with, as it currently stands. Lance Stroll under attack by Isaac Hadjar, and Stroll holds off that position. He is being investigated with Yuki Tsunoda at the moment for causing a collision, but I do believe that is Yuki Tsunoda's fault, as Piastri a lot closer than he has been for some time. He had a much better exit out of turn 1. He loses a bit of ground on the traction out of turn 3 as he's in the dirty air, but he has DRS again. He has a decent run down here into turn 4, but I think Lando is going to position his car well, and Oscar Piastri, he knows he needs a considerable run out of the third corner to even try and go around the outside. At this moment in time, as there's a radio from Lando Norris, not entirely sure what his engineer is relaying to Lando. He likes to obviously use a lot of words, Lando's engineer, and there's still no response from Lando. So Lando just focusing on driving at the moment and taking stock, no doubt, as Esteban Ocon comes out of the pit lane onto a set of hard compound tyres, and well, Yuki Tsunoda does stay ahead of Esteban Ocon, but as Lando's in the pits, Lando into the pits here. Here we go. Lando Norris into the pit lane as it currently stands. That releases Oscar Piastri, and well, how will the McLaren pit crew fare? Is it a decent pit stop for Norris? Will Oscar Piastri, now released into clean air, will he be able to do an overcut on his teammate? Let's have a watch on board to see how that pit stop fared, as Oscar Piastri really did go for a move actually on Lando down into turn 4. He tried to shove him out of position, as Norris stays ahead, importantly, of Gabriel Bortoleto, who is still yet to pit here. So how was the pit stop for Lando? Was it a good pit stop for McLaren? It's a bit of a slow one, and it seems to be that it was a 3.1 second pit stop for Lando Norris. So if there is a 2.4 second pit stop, a 2 second pit stop for the McLaren team with Oscar Piastri could get the overcut here on his teammate. It's push, no doubt, for Lando Norris at this stage in this race. He importantly got out ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto, but Piastri, no doubt, is going to be into the pits now. No, he extends. Difference in strategy here for the McLaren drivers. Bold Bold decisions here from McLaren. How is that going to fare behind the scenes in the end, in the briefing room afterwards? Was this agreed beforehand? Normally, when they decide that they're the two fastest cars, it's normally like-for-like strategy, and they allow them to ensure that they decide it out on track rather than in the pits. But Oscar Piastri has stayed out for another lap, at least 2 laps longer than his teammate did. Let's see how this fares. This is a bold strategy. We'll see how it fares for Oscar Piastri. Maybe he just wants to utilise some additional clean air at this moment in time. But yes, not the fastest pit stop for McLaren by their standards. As Piastri is told, let's see your pace in clean air now. Let's see what you can do. Yeah, okay, I have a flat spot. I have a flat spot is what is reported by Oscar Piastri because of that lockup that he had down into turn 4. So we'll keep an eye out on his, as Oscar Piastri. Oh my goodness, Oscar Piastri nearly did a Lando. Oscar Piastri nearly did a Lando in Canada and nearly just went straight into the rear of his teammate. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Super, super close there. Nothing Lando could have done, just like how Piastri, nothing that he could have done more in Canada last time around. But let's see how that lap time fares. Oscar Piastri, a 1:10.9 last time around. Still the quickest car. But he is reporting he has a flat spot at this moment in time. He's still going on. That's 3 laps now. He's gone further than Lando Norris on this first stint. How will it fare for him? We will see as Piastri is told the flat spot is in the data. Looks okay to continue. Let me know. But Piastri says it's not pleasant, but it's okay. As is so often the case, it's like driving on a 50 pence piece, if you're familiar with UK currency. What was the recommended one-stop strat today? Nope, a one-stop strategy was not recommended. It was a 2-stop strategy. A one-stop is suggested, but with the track temperatures we see here today, 49 degrees and flirting with 50 degrees, it is too hot probably for a one-stop strategy here today. Someone will probably try it, maybe the likes of Ocon, hold bank for a safety car maybe, hold out for a safety car, but yes, those up ahead, no doubt, they're quick enough to do 2 stops here today. Might even be a 3 stop, we're still yet to see. 48 laps remaining. But the medium does seem to be holding out okay at the moment. But Lando Norris did a 1:09.9 last time around. So he's made 1 second up. He's made a second up on his teammate on that last lap alone. Oscar Piastri maybe struggling now on this set of medium compound tyres where he was stating he feels a little bit uncomfortable in the car after receiving a flat spot. As Ollie Bearman has got ahead, has just been overtaken by Gabriel Bortoleto now. As Bortoleto is on a brand new set of mediums. Of course, looking for his first points here in F1, as Oscar Piastri radio again is told, question better to be 4 seconds behind Lando with more delta or 1.5 behind. As Piastri says, 4 with delta. So, Piastri wants more tyre life at the end because he wants to go on the attack. And that's what he is choosing. That is why he is extending this first stint and why he is staying out longer than Lando Norris did, rather than just being like for like behind. We know in F1 it's tricky to overtake and that you do need a tyre delta. I'm quite surprised that McLaren are allowing this to happen, to be perfectly honest with you, and allow it to be decided on strategy and not necessarily particularly out on track. If this will be a controversial moment, I think, in the grand scheme of things behind the scenes at McLaren, if Piastri now does dive into the pit lane, if Piastri's overcut to well, it's not an overcut, but having that delta, being allowed to have that delta at the end, and he gets the move done because of that tyre delta, I'd be surprised if that is allowed to happen. As Norris is told, Lando doing a good job. Oscar's pace hasn't really picked up as he is now in the pit. So Lando Norris ahead at the moment from Oscar Piastri. He had a slow pit stop, of course, 3.1 seconds, but on that hard compound tyre, he's been going quite nicely, and he has negated that, of course, with Piastri also on used mediums at the time. And well, that gap to Lando Norris at this moment in time as they make their way down into the braking zone of turn 3, and after that pit stop is 5.6 seconds. So Oscar Piastri doesn't quite have that 4-second delta at the moment, or that 4-second gap. He has a bit of time to make up on Norris, but he does have 4-lap-old fresher tyres at this moment in time. But as it currently stands, guys, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton is a 1-2 for Ferrari. Stop the count now, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, that is not what's going to occur. As Lance Stroll, and you can see there, Lance Stroll, Isaac Hadjar and George Russell are very close, as they're almost going to be 3 wide, I presume, as they head down into turn 4. Lance Stroll could lose 2 positions here down into turn 4. They need to be careful, as Isaac Hadjar gets ahead of Lance Stroll, and I think Stroll is also going to lose a position to George Russell as well. And in the space of one corner, Lance Stroll has lost 2 positions to Isaac Hadjar and George Russell. But he is still yet to make a pit stop. But how many tracks do we see that occur? Love the Red Bull Ring. Let's keep it on the calendar, which it is. It has been extended to 2041. Let's have more of this today. There's still 45 laps remaining. Lando Norris leads from Hamilton leads from Lando Norris at the moment. Apologies, as he is yet to pit, as Charles Leclerc has just come out of the pits and is in P6 behind Alonso and Lawson, who are still yet to make a pit stop. We'll see how long Hamilton extends here. He is losing quite a bit of time now, though, to the rest of the field. 1:11.5 compared to Norris behind, who did a 1:09.6, but to be honest with you, Ferrari are just about securing P3 and P4 today, as Isaac Hadjar is coming under attack now by George Russell as they go into the braking zone of turn 3. They're side by side, but who comes out ahead? George Russell comes out ahead, and well, cheekily, he was also behind into the braking zone where the DRS marker is, into turn 3, and he gets DRS to ensure that he can hold on to that position down into turn 4, as Lance Stroll is losing time left, right and centre at the moment, as he has lost a position to Gasly there, to Hulkenberg, and he's now lost one to Bortoletto as well. In the space of 1.5 laps, Lance Stroll has lost 5 positions, and no doubt it's time to pit for Lance Stroll, unless they are going for that one-stop strategy. We will see. But Lando Norris leads now 6.5 seconds. Seems 6.5 seconds now to Lando Norris. So Lando Norris quicker than his teammate. Of course, he has got tyres that are up to temperature, but that will probably come back on itself equal itself out when Lando Norris comes to the end of this stint. Of course, a 4-lap advantage that Lando Norris has over Oscar Piastri at the moment, as Lance Stroll does now decide to pit after losing 5 positions in 1.5 laps. Charles Leclerc now dispatches Fernando Alonso comfortably, who is still yet to pit as well, as Hamilton came back out and rejoined in P6. Importantly for Ferrari, they are at the moment 7.8 seconds ahead of George Russell, who is their nearest competitor, as Gasly is being overtaken there by Nico Hulkenberg as it currently stands. Pierre Gasly coming under attack here by the 2 Stake F1 drivers. They need to be careful to ensure that there's no collision, as Hulkenberg has got ahead of Pierre Gasly, and Bortoletto, who is on 5-lap fresh tyres, I think has dispatched Gasly as well, as they're side-by-side into turn 6. They're still side-by-side. Who's going to come out ahead here? Bortoletto on the mediums, Gasly on the hards, and Bortoletto holds on to it through turn 6. Fair, hard, respectful racing from the drivers out there today. Brilliant to see. And yes, Bortoletto now up behind Nico Hulkenberg, who has been told once he's within DRS to let him by. And importantly for them, they got past Pierre Gasly. But Hulkenberg is going quite nicely at the moment. He's no slouch by any means, but Bortoletto is on a different strategy, as Lawson is defending from Fernando Alonso at the moment into turn 3. No, Lawson, apologies, is getting overtaken by Charles Leclerc there, but that will leave him potentially vulnerable to Alonso. Will Lawson try to overtake Leclerc? No, he just backs off. He knows it's not his race today. As yes, confirmation there of Bortoletto being let by Nico Hulkenberg. Very different races today for Bortoletto and Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg started dead last and doing very well to be up 10 positions at this stage of the race. As I'm watching the replay now, and Bortoletto did a brilliant cut back on Pierre Gasly into turn 6. Gasly tried to defend. He went deep, and with the extra grip that Bortoletto has on those fresh mediums, he said thank you very much and went straight past the Alpine driver, as you can see now up into P9. Oscar Piastri told, feedback from the pit wall. The manoeuvre in turn 4 with the front lockup was too marginal. We can't do that again, is the feedback from the management, from the McLaren management to Oscar Piastri. They do not want a repeat, of course, what happened in Montreal, as Hamilton dispatches Fernando Alonso down into turn 1, as Alonso is on 29-lap old mediums. Hadjar now back in for his second pit stop of this race after he pitted on the second lap of this race. We'll see how his strategy fares today. Started 13th, not entirely sure what it's looking like for him today with the strategy options that are ongoing, as there's an incident involving Colapinto and Ocon that is being investigated. Yet to see a replay of what occurred there. But yes, definitely some wheel banging going on into turn 3 at the moment. I think Colapinto's been involved in a few of them, as Hamilton is now all over the rear of Liam Lawson and dispatches him with that additional grip into turn 6. And yes, the Ferrari does look to be a decent car today, but just not quick enough to compete with those McLarens. So let's have an update of this race, shall we? 41 laps remaining. Lando Norris is leading 6.4 seconds from Oscar Piastri. He pitted 4 laps earlier than Oscar, so slight difference in strategy from them. They're on the same tyre, but Piastri hoping that that additional 4 laps that he has on those tyres, younger tyres, will come to fruition at the end of this stint or towards the end of this race. Charles Leclerc is P3 at the moment. They don't have any answer today, Ferrari, to the McLarens. That was never going to be their race. And well, with Max Verstappen being taken out on the first lap down into turn 3, no fault of his own, a complete passenger to Kimi Antonelli's mistake coming from absolute miles back and taking out the 4-time world champion. As Lewis, watching the replay of Lewis Hamilton's overtake, and it was a great overtake around the outside. That is what this circuit can provide. As Colapinto's coming under attack now from Yuki Tsunoda down into turn 3, late on the brakes Tsunoda, and he is up 5 positions into P13. But Colapinto comes back at Yuki. A late lunge from Colapinto, from Yuki Tsunoda. Colapinto saw it coming, and well, they're going to go side by side down into turn 4, as Tsunoda does have a bit of damage on his front wing at the moment, as Ocon gets past Ollie Bearman, and there's a yellow as Colapinto's off. They were battling, Yuki and Colapinto were battling, and Colapinto has been forced off there. He's still going, no doubt, forced off into the gravel, as we have seen so many times at turn 4. And Colapinto fighting hard from Yuki. He saw the move coming from the Red Bull driver. As I'm watching the onboard now, did Colapinto go deep into that corner? As I'm watching it now, and Yuki's done what Lewis Hamilton did those years ago to Alex Albon. Yuki Tsunoda potentially, Yuki Tsunoda has just, unfortunately, locked wheels with his front left, locked in between Colapinto's right rear, and well, Yuki Tsunoda, unfortunately, I think that'll be a penalty coming his way, as he is indeed into the pits. Yuki Tsunoda, it's not been a good weekend for him. As yes, Yuki Tsunoda, I think that's Yuki Tsunoda's fault. We've seen a penalty dished out for Lewis Hamilton those years ago to Alex Albon, although this time around Colapinto was the lead car. Yuki was never significantly alongside, and well, that will be Yuki's fault, as he is now lapped by the leaders, as he is in 16th place on the set of medium compound tyres. But an update on this race, shall we? Every time I try to run through the current standings of this race, I am interrupted by some action out on track. But as we are approaching the halfway stage of this race, is Lando Norris leading from Oscar Piastri by 6 seconds at this moment in time. But as we mentioned, there is a 4-tyre lap advantage to Oscar Piastri at the moment with 4-lap younger tyres. As that incident is noted by Tsunoda and Colapinto there by the stewards, I'll be very surprised if Tsunoda doesn't receive a penalty for that. Charles Leclerc in P3 and Lewis Hamilton in P4. Lawson yet to pit in P5. Of course, Lawson, he only has 1 set of mediums available to him today and 1 set of hards. We did say how would that affect his strategy today, and I think by the looks of it, with 39 laps remaining, it is going to be a one-stop strategy from Liam Lawson. And potentially Fernando Alonso as well, with that hard compound tyre, no doubt, due to come on. As Gasly and Ocon are getting very close here, as Ocon is about to overtake Gasly down into turn 4. We've seen incident through turn 4 already. We've seen near incidents through turn 4 already. And well, Gasly holds on just for now, but Ocon does have fresher tyres. As we can see that under investigation, their confirmation again of Yuki Tsunoda and Colapinto's incident. But Ocon unable to get past Gasly just at this moment in time with 7-lap fresher hard compound tyres, fighting for that last points position at this stage of the race, as Lawson now into the pits. So the question will be, can he take a single set of hards to the end of this race? Potentially, we will see. Fernando Alonso, no doubt, he hasn't got long until he is going to pit as well, but you will benefit from having fresher tyres on towards the end of this race, especially if there is a late safety car. But George Russell into P6 at the moment. He is net P5, as we mentioned, with Alonso still yet to pit, the only driver yet to pit. And there we go, confirmation, as I predicted, 10-second time penalty for Yuki Tsunoda for causing a collision. Yep, slam dunk from him as Esteban Ocon gets past Pierre Gasly into turn 3, but they're still fighting. Who has DRS now? now. Pierre Gasly has DRS. Will he be able to come back at Esteban Ocon, the former teammates, of course, the former friends? No love lost between these two in different teams now. The first time I think we've seen them go wheel to wheel for some time, and Esteban Ocon comes out on top for now, as approaching the halfway stage of this race, as Pierre Gasly has to concede that position to Ocon and slot in behind, but he is still currently in P10 at the moment. But of course, Liam Lawson is on a fresh set of hards, doing that one stop, compared no doubt to the rest of the field who are committed to a two stoppers. There we go, confirmation. Alonso, the only other driver to yet make a pit stop, now makes that solitary pit stop for this race onto the hard compound tyre. Where will he rejoin? He was close to Liam Lawson, and I think he's lost quite a bit of time on those couple of laps. He stayed out longer on those mediums to Liam Lawson. We'll see as Lawson comes through turn one now. What will that gap be? Liam Lawson through turn one. It's going to be close. Alonso, is he going to be able to stay ahead of Colapinto, I guess, is more the question. Yes, he will. So, with everyone now making at least one pit stop at this moment in time, Lando Norris leads from Oscar Piastri. Charles Leclerc is P3 with Hamilton 4th. Russell is in 5th. Bortoletto is in 6th place with Nico Hülkenberg up 13 positions in 7th. What? Nico Hülkenberg is currently on for scoring points for his third consecutive race while starting dead last. Esteban Ocon is up 9 positions into 8th as well. Gasly is in 9th. Behrman is up 5 positions and in P10, so Haas are currently scoring 2 points. But we know that Lawson and Alonso have made their one and only pit stop for this race and are on fresh hards. We'll see how they fare. It's going to be an interesting end to this race with drivers trying to go to the ends with those on, no doubt, quicker, fresher, softer tyres in the closing stages. That's going to provide some drama, I predict. Liam Lawson in 11th, Alonso 12th, Colapinto in 13th. Unfortunately, he should be maybe even higher than that at the moment if it wasn't for that incident with Yuki Tsunoda. Isaac Hadjar is in 14th, Stroll 15th, Tsunoda in 16th, has a 10-second time penalty as well for causing a collision with Colapinto. And, well, Albon is a retirement, as is Carlos Sainz as well, who didn't even start this race. Verstappen, a retirement due to a collision with Antonelli, from Antonelli completely misjudging it, as Behrman sends it on Pierre Gasly into turn 3 there. They almost came to a standstill, Behrman and Pierre Gasly into turn 3. And, well, Behrman holds on to that position down into turn 4 as well. And Gasly is now down into 10th place and will be under threat from Liam Lawson soon. You do predict with 20 lap older tyres than that of the RB driver. Wow, what a send by Ollie Behrman, honestly. Great racing between the two of them. Fair and respectful today, I must admit. None of this ahead at the apex ridiculousness. It's been brilliant to see, and that's what we need to see in F1 at this moment in time. But yeah, guys, if you have been enjoying this stream and this watch along, please continue to hit the like and subscribe button. Over 1,000 likes right now, over 10,000 of you here in the stream. And, well, we are trying to hit 50,000 subs. If there are just under 2,000 of you that are yet to hit that subscribe button, please do. It'd be very much appreciated to hit that milestone today. And I will massively thank every single one of you individually. But we have 35 laps remaining, 34 laps remaining of this race. We are now officially just over the halfway mark here at the Red Bull Ring, and I still think there is more to occur. We have seen incident already as Colapinto is being overtaken by Isaac Hadjar down into turn 3. We've seen Colapinto get caught up in a few incidents already today. He's already had a few wheel bangs with a few drivers, and, well, Isaac Hadjar has just got ahead. As Pierre Gasly is stating, check if something is broken. It's crazy. I don't know how much more longer I can stay on track, as Pierre Gasly is reporting issues in that Alpine car, which would be a shame for him to retire from this race, as he's massively outperformed that car here this weekend. I think personally a car that struggled to even get outside of the bottom 5 in all practice sessions, but he qualified into Q3 and he's doing pretty well today considering. But yes, Lando Norris P1 at the moment. So let's have a look at the lap times previously. I did see a purple lap from Oscar Piastri, which did bring that gap down to 5.5 seconds, but Lando Norris did respond to that lap from his teammate, and he's currently keeping that gap at 5.5 second range. But is Piastri now starting to utilise a bit more of that tyre life in that hard compound tyre to close up on his teammate? He said he would prefer the 4-lap old extra tyres with that delta, so that he can go on the attack in the latter stages of this race. That's what he preferred. That was his decision. And, well, Let's see if it is the right one, or should he have decided to pit and respond to Lando Norris's pit stop and come out behind and just keep the pressure on his teammates. We will see how this plays out. Still a very long way to go in this race. Raven, you're still surprised Alpine have their engine running with this track and air temps. That is very true indeed. Mario, thank you for the €2. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in as always. Anyone knows where you can see the race without paying? You'd have to go somewhere else for that. Mods, if you can please limit those sort of questions, that'd be much appreciated. We want to keep the chat as civilized as possible. Anita Sainz retired. Kimi collected Max in lap 1 and Albon retired. Yes, indeed. So what happened to Max at in turn to turn 3? He was a complete passenger. Antonelli made an absolute balls up. Locked up from an absolute mile back, and Max was completely unaware of it, nothing that he could do, and he got T-boned by Kimi Antonelli, broke his rear suspension, and we had a safety car on the first lap. So that is unfortunately why Max Verstappen is no longer in this race. So yes, a real shame from him, and of course his championship hopes massively dented there, and that may now remove Max Verstappen from the championship unless there is incidents between the two McLarens or significant improvement from that Red Bull this season. But let's give an update on the two McLaren drivers. And well, last time around, Oscar Piastri was half a second quicker than Lando Norris. Is this the stage where we're starting to see Lando Norris just look after those tyres? Is it Piastri pushing? We don't know. Or is it Norris starting to catch wind of the dirty air of the lap cars ahead? We know how unfortunately effective the dirty air is here, not just at this circuit, but in this season as a whole. It can be felt from as far back as 4 seconds the drivers have reported at certain circuits. As Gasly has now decided to pit, and hopefully this isn't a retirement for the Alpine driver. It would be a real shame if it is, but he did just get overtaken by Liam Lawson there on that lap, as Lawson is being closed down upon by Fernando Alonso as well. You can see a 10.5 for Fernando Alonso last time out compared to Lawson's 11.3. So Lawson potentially got held up there by Pierre Gasly as Colapinto. Is that Colapinto getting ahead of Lance Stroll? No, I think it's Lance Stroll making an overtake on Colapinto. And I'm always scared to say Stroll's making an overtake because you never know if it's going to be made cleanly or not. But this time around, he has made it stick, and Stroll has got ahead of Colapinto. Understandably, Colapinto on much older medium tyres compared to Stroll on much younger hard compound tyres. But Lando Norris fully approaching Colapinto right now. That is allowing Piastri to close the gap at this moment. Even last time around, another half a second was taken out of that gap of 4.5 seconds to Lando Norris. So 4.3 seconds is the gap from Piastri at the moment. 4-lap old, fresher tyres. Then Lando Norris, his teammate, is that what we're starting to see now? And we can see the extra speed he has through turn 7 alone, Oscar Piastri. He just gained 2 tenths on Norris alone through that one corner, as Norris was tight up behind Colapinto. And there we go, we mentioned it before, the pit entry here is so awkward for drivers following, as it's on the racing line. Anyone who's pitting has to go considerably slow as the other driver behind has to react, and that gap has just shot down from 4 seconds to 3.3 seconds. 7 tenths alone Lando Norris lost from Colapinto pitting there as he was given the wave flags. He would much have preferred Colapinto to keep going and let him by on the straight, but importantly for Oscar Piastri, he's gained important time there on his teammate, 3.4 seconds, and well, Norris has still got Stroll ahead of him now. You have a doubt what exactly is a blue flag. A blue flag is waved for lapped cars. You have to move over within 4 corners, I think it is, or within 4 blue flags. So there are marshal posts up around the track, and you have to do it within, I think, it's either half a lap or there is a measurement of how long you're able to drive under blue flags being waved at you before you receive a penalty. So it's to ensure that there's fairness. As you can see, Lance Stroll has been given a blue flag, and you can see there that it's flagging up multiple times because at different marshal posts. So Stroll will no doubt let Norris by now as they head down into turn 3. It's the easiest solution for him, but importantly for Piastri, this is just gaining him a little bit more ground here on his teammate. Another 10th, another 2 tenths taken out of him that last lap alone. And well, Piastri might fare a lot easier with Lance Stroll than Lando Norris did. But yes, that gap considerably shorter than it was only a few laps ago. 3.1 seconds, 3 seconds is the gap now with 29 laps remaining. What does the green oval line around the interval time mean? It means that driver is gaining. It means that driver, that the interval is coming down and they are gaining on the driver ahead of them. If it's highlighted, it means, of course, under 1 second highlighted, it means they're within the DRS. As I am hearing on the radio, that Lando Norris's tyres are starting to potentially come to a bit of an end of their life here. He's starting to struggle on them a little bit, but that has primarily been due to him finding himself in dirty air. So let's see if Lando can pick up the pace again as he finds himself in some cleaner air for the time being. And now it's roles reversed for Piastri to have the dirty air of the lap traffic, even if it is just the single form of Lance Stroll. Thank you, Ashley. Much appreciated. Thank you for the kind words. And yes, if you've been enjoying the stream, guys, hit that subscribe button. Let's get this stream to 50,000 likes. Let's get this channel to 50,000 subscribers, please. It'd be much appreciated. Brilliant milestone for the channel. And of course, we're back for Silverstone next week. My favourite race on the calendar. British bias. Yes, fully in full swing because it is my favourite circuit in the world. Always provides us a brilliant race, and it's great to race round as well in real life and in the sim. So be sure to tune in next weekend for that. We'll be here for every session, FP1, FP2, FP3, qualifying and the race on Sunday, just like today. But we still have 28 laps remaining of this Red Bull Ring, at this Red Bull Ring in the Austrian GP as Nico Hülkenberg dives into the pit lane now. He's doing tremendously well today. Intrigued to see if he can score points. Stake F1 have been very good with their strategies recently, and their updates have worked tremendously well, hence why Bortoleto finds himself in P6 at the moment. As Nico Hülkenberg is going to come out in front of Norris or side by side with Norris. I think Norris is going to stay ahead of him. But you can see there, Lance Stroll has held up Oscar Piastri quite significantly here. And he's 3.5 seconds behind Lando Norris now. And he's now going to have another lap car ahead of him to contend with. As Lando Norris is asking, is he just quicker everywhere now? He's mainly quicker in high speed. We'll just see with this loss of traffic. So they're saying, and reportedly saying to him, as we have seen on the data here, that most of the time loss has been due to Lando Norris getting caught up in traffic. But Oscar Piastri was cutting into the time of Norris anyway, due to having much fresher tyres. But yeah, Stroll most definitely wasn't kind to letting Oscar Piastri there through. And now he has to contend with Nico Hülkenberg as well, who is on a fresh set of mediums. So we'll see how he fares with that. But that gap currently sitting at 3.5 seconds with potentially another pit stop to come for the McLaren drivers. But Nico Hülkenberg, a brilliant pit stop from the Stake F1 team there, around 2.3 seconds, doing tremendously well all round the Stake F1 team, and it bodes well for them converting to Audi next year. As Norris is told, our goal here is obvious. We just keep Oscar out of the DRS. That is what's been reported to Lando Norris. That is his aim. And, well, at the moment, he is doing it with 26 laps remaining, with Hülkenberg, of course, having been a stumbling block at the moment to Oscar Piastri. Wouldn't have liked to have seen the bright green livery of Hülkenberg appear in front of him as he got past Lance Stroll. Piastri is flying. We may see another servant of a race out in front in about 4 laps. Yeah, we'll see. Why is Hamilton behind Colapinto for this long? Jalapinto? I was mixing the two of them there. Apologies. Hamilton is behind Colapinto as Colapinto is lapped at this moment in time. Lewis Hamilton will get past him eventually, but the Ferraris are in no man's land, really. They're comfortably secure in P3 and P4. George Russell is 21 seconds behind at this moment in time, behind the two Ferraris. That Mercedes not performing to the dizzying heights that we saw in Montreal, Canada last time around, where George Russell won his first race of the season. I really thought the Mercedes would fare much better here this weekend. Of course, we don't know how Antonelli would have fared as he just completely torpedoed himself into the rear of Max Verstappen on the first lap into turn 3. But yes, George Russell, nothing really for those two, or all three of them, to do at this moment in time other than just keep their car intact and, well, be ready for any potential safety car scenarios, because that is really where the opportunity for any improvement on their current positions will come from. But closest out on track at the moment is Liam Lawson and Fernando Alonso. We know that there's no love lost between these two feisty drivers, of course, Liam Lawson, not colliding, getting under the skin of Fernando Alonso when he returned to F1 last year at the Circuit of the Americas. And, well, they're fighting for points today as Russell dives into the pit lane. So George Russell dives into the pit lane. And, well, this is going to be interesting for George Russell today, and especially Gabriel Bortoleto. But you do suspect Bortoleto is going to pit again. There's an outside chance of Bortoleto scoring a top 5 here today. There was only a 4-second gap between Bortoleto and Russell at that time. What an unbelievable result that would be. 2 top 5s, imagine that, for the Stake F1 team in the 2 out of the last 3 races. Of course, Nico Hulkenberg in Barcelona. But at the moment, Fernando Alonso in the DRS of Liam Lawson. They're on the same strategy, it seems, a one-stop strategy here on a set of hards. And, well, Lawson, well, you can see Fernando Alonso there. He was half a second quicker in that first sector alone on Liam Lawson last time around, as Alonso is going to be looking to try and get past him at the moment. Not close enough as they made their way down into turn 4. It's all about biding time, as Hadjar did get ahead of George Russell there, but easily concedes a position to George, who is on his outlap and on much fresher tyres. So Piastri finally gets past Nico Hulkenberg, and as he does so, he is 4 seconds back, 3.8 seconds back from Lando. So the race is back on now to see whether Piastri can close that gap on Norris. Are we in for a drama-filled closing stage of this race? We have seen teammates go at it before here at the Red Bull Ring, and, well, are we going to see it at the end? We've seen it already here today, but are we going to see it again at the end of the race as we have done in previous times here? Thank you, Joranator. Much appreciated. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the commentary and you're enjoying the stream, of course, we will not be dipping off straight after the race ends. We'll be sticking around to take everything in, listen to the driver interviews, and discuss, answer your questions, have a discussion, and take, stock of what has occurred in this race today at the Austrian GP. So please hit that like and subscribe button. Importantly, hit the subscribe button because we're fast approaching 50,000 subscribers. That's the aim. Get that number right above me. Up to 50k, let's get that rolling over. But yeah, big thank you for anyone who continues to return to these streams, this channel, and of course if you're new here as well, big thank you, welcome, and I hope you will stick around for the rest of the season and many more races to come. But yes, 4.3 seconds, what happened there to Oscar Piastri? He just had a little moment there, Oscar Piastri. That gap has gone to 4.3 seconds. He's lost half a second somewhere, as George Russell goes fastest in the middle sector on a brand new fresh set of hards. But Piastri just lost a considerable amount of time there somewhere. Did he lock up? He must have gone a bit wide, potentially into turn 3 or turn 4, having a little moment, and that's not going to be good for his aspirations of closing down the gap and winning this race today to maintain that 22-point lead over Lando Norris. As it currently stands, Lando Norris would be gaining 25 points today in the championship. And there we go, turn 1. Track limits at turn 1 for Oscar Piastri. He went wide through turn 1, took to the escape road there. And that is why he lost half a second to his teammate, and that gap has now gone out to 4.2 seconds. As I'm just watching a replay of it right now, as he made his way into turn 1, and yes, he just had a mid-corner slide there, or entry slide, and he had to go over the sausage curb, and he lost half a second. As Lewis Hamilton also goes wide through turn 3 as well. He had a moment through there. So drivers starting to have squirrely moments on these hard compound tyres. They're 23, 24 laps on them. And Lando Norris has done 28 laps on this set of hards. They do... Both of them, the 2 McLarens and the 2 Ferraris, have another fresh set of mediums available to their use, and I do think we are going to see that utilised at some point. So we have 22 laps remaining, or 21 laps remaining, as Lando Norris is about to cross the start-finish line. And I think it'd be very risky to try and take these hard compound tyres for another 20 laps. That would mean that you would have done 50 laps on the same set of hard compound tyres. And I don't think that is going to be feasible. Maybe at the moment, Lando Norris and the McLarens are just trying to build up a gap to the Ferraris. And, well, there we go. Right on cue. Charles Leclerc pits 23 laps on those hards. I was just about to say the gap was 18.3 seconds to Lando Norris. And the gap... the pit stop lost time here is 20.3 seconds, as we reviewed in our pre-race show. So that is why maybe Lando Norris is extending, the McLaren are extending at the moment to try and build up a free pit stop to the Ferraris. But that now is very kind to them if they want to make a pit stop, as Charles Leclerc is on that medium compound tyre. There we go. There we go. Oscar is going to need to find something here. He is. It's going to come down to the medium tyre, I believe. We'll see how they are. He did say he would much prefer a 4-second gap to his teammates as Bortoleto now pits from P5. Hopefully this is a good decision for him and he'll still be able to bag a good haul of points today. Of course, he's going to have to get it done out on track though, I believe, as he is going to have to overtake Fernando Alonso and Liam Lawson, who are on that one-stop strategy, I believe. So yeah, we are going to see some on-track action up and through the field here in the closing stages due to the variance in strategies that we have seen, and that is where it always provides us some good races. So we may have a bit of a lull in the middle of the race, but it comes full circle towards the end. As I think we are going to see that as Lawson's on a one-stop, as is Fernando Alonso. George Russell is fast approaching them as well. They are all fighting for position. Isaac Hadjar is up there. He's probably trying to take it to the end. So Bortoleto, who did importantly come out of his teammate as Lewis Hamilton dives into the pit lane now as well. But Lando Norris, if he wanted to pit, he does have that gap comfortably to pit into as Charles Leclerc pitted there. As you can see, 38 seconds is the gap. But yes, at the moment, Ocon now diving into the pit, so that's one less person that Bortoleto would have to focus on. But yes, where is the gap at the moment? Bortoleto, what was his lap time? We'll keep an eye out on Bortoleto's lap time. So he's on the hards, and he's got 18 lap old fresher tyres than that of, well, he's got 22 lap fresher tyres than that of Hadjar ahead, as Hamilton is, oh my goodness, Ferrari. Oh, Lewis is fighting on the radio again. Oh, he's saying his tyres are fine. I'm still listening to it. It went. The reason I didn't say anything for a few seconds there is because that went on way too long. Lewis says, am I losing pace? My tyres feel fine. I'm good. They just sent him to box. He says it again. Tells him to box. No context. Says it again. No context. Just give him info. Why are you scared to give him info? Oh, honestly, it may be the case. I'd have to look back at the times, but you'd have to look at the times. But I think they weren't doing too shabby in relation to the McLarens, as Lando Norris does now pit. Lando Norris pits, but it does seem that I don't know what hurts to say to Lewis Hamilton that they are dropping pace. This is the right decision to pit. Don't understand why they can't relay that information to Lewis Hamilton rather than leave him in limbo, because there's clearly a distrust on the pit wall and the engineer side of things with the drivers in the cockpit. So yes, not entirely sure what that was in relation to. We'll keep an eye on that post-race, but at the moment there is a battle for the race lead as Norris comes out ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Well, Yuki Tsunoda has been lapped, so he would not be able to technically fight for this position. And, well, he is on 21 lap old mediums as well. But Lewis Hamilton has set the fastest lap last time around. So, in hindsight, potentially the right decision. But still, it was not exactly... maybe it's because Charles Leclerc had already pitted, but they were like, we need to hold position here. But Piastri, hammer time, yes, for Oscar Piastri at the moment. Is he going to respond here, or is he going to continue on like he did earlier? And he has pitted. Wow. So Oscar Piastri is not really been able to utilise that strategy of staying out for 4 laps longer earlier. It has backfired on him. And, well, he is now behind his teammate. We'll see as Lando Norris makes his way down the start-finish lane. What is the gap going to be? Oscar Piastri, you'll get some cleaner air. Let's use the pace. We should be in at the end of this lap. So Lando Norris comes through turn 1. What is the gap going to be? Of course, importantly, unfortunately for Oscar Piastri is that he's going to have to get past Colapinto and Tsunoda, who are lapped cars. Are they going to play ball with him and let him through? The gap is 3.3 seconds as it stands. But we know, as we saw earlier on in the middle stage of this race, that that if you're in dirty air from the lap cars, it is highly detrimental to your pace. As Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap again, he's absolutely flying at the moment. A 1:08.628. Lewis Hamilton, could he catch his teammate? Could we see teammates in the Ferraris go for that last podium position with 17 laps remaining? That would be something I didn't bank on today. But Piastri getting held up a little bit there by Colapinto and Yuki Tsunoda. And well, he's lost impulsively around half a second there on his teammate, which he did gain in that extra lap that he stayed out. But it is 4.3 seconds now, the gap to Norris and Oscar Piastri, and it's full throttle to the finish line now. With 17 laps remaining, will Piastri be able to close down on his teammate, who has been in control of this race from the start, defended from his teammate, as Colapinto and Piastri noted, forcing another driver off the track. Oh no, Colapinto forced Piastri off the track. What am I watching right now? I'm watching the replay as Colapinto went for a move on Yuki Tsunoda. And then Colapinto... Oh my God, Colapinto drove Piastri onto the grass. Colapinto drove Piastri on the grass, and I don't know what he was doing there. And, well, Colapinto nearly just yeeted Piastri into the barriers. Franco Colapinto, that is not good. I think he will definitely be penalised for that. His day is going to go from bad to worse here, as he's currently in P14. But that is terrible. What happened there? Did he just not realise who was coming up behind him? Did he just... I have absolutely no idea what was going through Franco Colapinto's mind there. But as we move to the front of the lead, again, as we move to the front of the standings at the moment, Norris 3.9 seconds back from Piastri, or ahead of Piastri at the moment, as he is being held up by Pierre Gasly. As we know, could lap traffic be a key factor here in the race win today, as George Russell finally gets past Liam Lawson. But Liam Lawson, is he going to come back past him as Oscar Piastri sets the fastest lap of the race and just made 8 tenths on Lando Norris that lap? He was run off into the grass last time around by Franco Colapinto, and well, Pierre Gasly has just considerably held up Lando Norris there, and well, Piastri setting the fastest lap of the race just nearly went a full second quicker, as Russell did hold on to that position from Lawson, as Lawson is thinking about where his battle lies here today. It is with Fernando Alonso, as Bortoleto He's looking to get past Isaac Hadjar as well. Isaac Hadjar looking to score points here today after starting 13th. It could be a good result for Isaac Hadjar after he had a bit of a poor qualifying yesterday by his very high standards. But Bortoleto, two of the rookies this season, he's looking for his first points as Piastri goes fastest in the middle sector. He is gaining on Norris. The fastest middle sector there, regardless. He was in dirty air of Pierre Gasly. That is a tremendous middle sector there from Piastri. But will Gasly play ball and be much kinder to Piastri than he was to Lando Norris? 3.2 seconds the gap with 14 laps remaining as it currently stands. DRS Open, they're trading fastest laps at the moment. Norris and Piastri are 108.5 last time around compared to now Piastri's 108.2. And well, Gasly is holding up Piastri here and is not playing ball whatsoever. He now lets him by, but he could have done with him getting out of his way into turn one, which definitely compromised his exit. But they're free for a little bit longer until they reach Behrman, and they could be reaching Ocon Hulkenberg before the race is out and ended. But we can see further down the grid there, Colapinto confirmed a 5-second time penalty for forcing another driver off the track. Not entirely sure what was going through his mind there. A big, massive lapse in concentration. Maybe just completely didn't see where he was on the track, and he was trying to get off the racing line and didn't realise Piastri was on his inside. It could have been so much worse for Oscar Piastri, but he is still in this race and still has an opportunity of winning. However, Norris has just set the fastest middle sector there and just put 4 attempts back on Oscar, the gap to him and Oscar Piastri from that middle sector alone, as Lando Norris does a 108.5 again. Oscar Piastri, a bit of a slower lap time from him. He loses a couple of attempts due to Pierre Gasly holding him up, but now Norris is on the rear of Ollie Behrman. How will Ollie Behrman fare? Will he be kind and let Lando Norris through? The lap traffic haven't been so kind today as Nico Hulkenberg gets past Isaac Hadjar. Bortoleto, he got past Isaac Hadjar not too long ago, and well, the Stake F1 cars are currently sitting in 8th and 9th. Nico Hulkenberg started 20th today, ladies and gentlemen, and he's now in 9th place. Unblooming believable from the Hulk. Unbelievable. That Stake F1 is no longer a tractor. It's no longer a bright green wheelie bin. No, it is now a bright green Lamborghini. That is exactly what that Stake F1 car is. What were they cooking back in Switzerland? Because it is Switzerland, isn't it, where Sauber is based, Stake F1 is based, I believe. Because the updates they brought to that car have most definitely dragged them from the bottom of the grid to now being a solid midfield team, almost being best of the rest in the last 3 race weekends, you would say. Lando Norris, the fastest last sector from him, but Piastri improves even more and takes a bit more time out of his teammate. 2 temps on his teammate last time around, a 1:08.1. They're trading fastest laps at the moment, Norris and Piastri. Of course, there is no additional point this year, no bonus point for fastest lap, so it means diddly squat, but it just shows the level that these two drivers are performing at the moment. The 2 championship contenders, 22 points is the gap between Piastri and Norris at the moment, but Piastri being held up by Ollie Behrman here. Every second, every 10th counts with 12 laps remaining at the moment. Of course, catching is one thing, overtaking is another, as we have seen Piastri struggle to get past Norris earlier on in the opening stages of this race. And well, Lando Norris has been told over the radio by his engineer it's all about keeping him away from that 1 second gap. As Oscar Piastri, well, is he dumping the battery here? Because he has gone so much quicker. Purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector, and well, he's about to improve and do a sub 108 here, I think, in this lap. That gap has now got to 2.7 seconds. He's trying to force the moment on his teammate Lando Norris with 11 laps remaining, a 107.9, and that gap is now down to 2.6 seconds. And well, there is lap traffic ahead of him. Isaac Hadjar, Esteban Ocon, Nico Hulkenberg, and Gabriel Bortoletto could be very influential to how this race ends here, and whether or not Lando Norris could win here at the Red Bull Ring at the Austrian GP and close that gap down to 15 points at the top of the standings in the championship, or whether Oscar Piastri can extend his lead by 7 points to 29, up from 22. This is going to be interesting. We wanted to see these two fight it out. We saw it in Canada, and well, it ended prematurely, of course, with the collision of Lando Norris, but we've seen them go side by side multiple times here in this race already, and I've got a feeling it is not going to be the last, as Lando is getting called up by, who is that there? Isaac Hadjar getting in the way there as they head into turn 9. Oscar Piastri will have to deal with him as well, but he's taken another 4 temps out of Lando this lap alone for the first and second sector. It's now out of the last sector, and he's going to get a cheeky toe from Hadjar up into turn 1 as well. 1:08.0. He's actually taken 6 temps out of Lando this lap. And well, Oscar is on full attack mode with 10 laps remaining. And I think he's going to get past Isaac Hadjar quite comfortably here. DRS open in the slipstream of Hadjar. And if Hadjar's smart, he lifts here. Yes, he does indeed. And well, Lando is looking in his rearview mirrors right now, and he will see Piastri getting considerably closer. Under 2 seconds at this moment in time with 10 laps remaining. Oscar Piastri chasing down the rear wing of Lando Norris. Well, as we know, I said it before, catching is one thing, overtaking is another. But Lando definitely being affected at this moment in time by the dirty air from the lap traffic and having a little bit more hard time with it than his teammate is at this moment in time. We will see. Or is this just a little bit of a tactic from Lando? Is he just trying to look after his tyres a little bit better than Piastri so that he knows he can cover him off in the closing stages of this race? We will see, because every time Piastri leans on those tyres through those corners to close up the gap to Lando, he is going to be more of a disadvantage when he eventually gets in the DRS of Lando. We know that he was told to keep him at arm's length, but it could be he's at elbow's length before we know it, because that gap is coming down dramatically. He only improved a 10th there over Lando this time around, but it's still a gap. It's still something that is bringing him closer and putting Lando under pressure. A driver we know who has been made many mistakes this season already, and Piastri will know that in the forefront of his mind. I just need to force him into a mistake. That's all I need to do. As Lando Norris is told, I need some pace, please. Help. Oh my goodness, Lando Norris, that is not exactly the most confident radio message I've ever heard. The main pace difference is in high speed. So, Lando Norris asking for help over the radio. I need pace at the moment. That's not very good on the radio. That's not what I would like to hear. But if I'm Oscar Piastri, that is music to my ears, as we have 8 laps remaining as he crosses the start-finish line here. 63rd lap we are off this 70-lap race. It was reduced by 1 lap due to the aborted start because of Carlos Sainz, who was an early retirement because he did not start from this race. But at the moment, there's a rundown of this grid as we have 8 laps remaining. Lando Norris leads by 1.7 seconds from Oscar Piastri. He is asking for help on the radio and needing more pace. Maybe, yes, he's just not leaning on his tyres enough. Maybe it's as simple as that, as he did say that Oscar Piastri is gaining more in the high-speed corners, his engineer to Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc and the Ferraris of Leclerc and Hamilton have been in no man's land today. It's been a very boring race for them, but a successful race for them in relation to finishing positions, but still 18 to 27 seconds behind the two McLarens is a sizable gap at a short circuit like this. George Russell in P5, 53 seconds behind the McLarens. It's not the Mercedes that we saw in Canada a few weeks ago, but it is still a top 5, another top 5 for George Russell, and another reason to sign him up for that Mercedes contract. Liam Lawson still holding off Fernando Alonso at the moment to try and score his best finishing position of this season. Is in P6. Fernando Alonso in the DRS in P7 with Bortoleto 4.7 seconds behind. Does Bortoleto have enough to catch Alonso and Liam Lawson and sneak a top 6 here? He is finishing where he started at the moment in P8, and that's still a tremendous effort from him. But he, of course, will want more. Nico Hülkenberg looking to score points again in P9, but he does have at the moment, Esteban Ocon closing in on him. A 109.7 last time around from Ocon, so Ocon is looking to try and close up Hülkenberg, and he'll be hoping that Norris and Piastri, who are trying to lap them, he can utilise and close down that gap, just like Piastri has done on Lando Norris. And well, Nico Hülkenberg was much kinder to Lando Norris there than some other drivers today, as he easily got past him. And well, we can see Piastri as he's got into the dirty air of Lando Norris, is starting to lose a little bit of time. A 108.9 last time around. That gap is now out to 2 seconds. And Lando Norris did a 108.698. Let's see what the time is here as they make their way around the last corner and across the start-finish line with 6 laps remaining. And well, is a 108.6 from Norris and a 108.9 from Oscar Piastri. So the last 2 laps, Oscar Piastri has lost 6 tenths overall. And well, has Oscar Piastri potentially pushed too hard on those tyres in trying to close up that gap? Or is it just the fact that he has reached the dirty air of the same machinery? Very, very different, of course, being behind lapped cars with different aero packages. But when you are behind the same car, well, and a car that's going much quicker, it can be very, very different. As Norris is told, just for your awareness, we have a little bit of damage on our front wing, which is making the balance change a bit. Nothing we can do, just for your awareness. So Lando Norris has a little bit of damage to his front wing, which is a little bit of a detriment to him, of course. But he is doing this very well, as Yuki Tsunoda, as a confirmation there that he served his 10-second time penalty for causing a collision earlier on with Franco Colapinto. As he is down in P16, it's been a terrible day for Red Bull. They're not going to score any points today with Yuki down in 16th and Max retiring, of course, due to that collision from Kimi and Antonelli. But at the moment, Bortoleto, let's have an update on him. 2.6 seconds behind Fernando Alonso at the moment, who is starting to lose a little bit of ground to Liam Lawson, I think. We'll see how that fares. That gap to Norris and Piastri with 5 laps remaining is 1.8 seconds, 1.9 seconds with reported damage to Lando Norris's front wing at this moment in time. Oscar Piastri, though, 0.84 last time around compared to Norris's 0.87. So he gained 2 tenths there. And, well, they're not going to catch traffic until they get to Bortoleto. And Bortoleto, what is his lap time last time out? A 109.2. So they may catch Bortoleto. We will see. And that could have a very important impact with the last couple of laps incoming here. Guys, if you've enjoyed this stream, whether or not you've enjoyed the race or not, if you've enjoyed this stream, please hit the like button. But more importantly, hit that subscribe button. Get this stream as close to 50,000 subscribers as you possibly can. We're nearly at 49,000. It'd be much, much appreciated. What a milestone that would be. We'll be back, of course, for Silverstone next week. What a race circuit that is. And, well, could we see the McLarens go at it again there? It always provides Silverstone. And, well, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. And I hope you guys are too. We'll be live, of of course, for every single session next week. And we'll be sticking around after this race ends to take in everything that has happened and to listen to what the drivers have got to say about their races. I'm very intrigued to hear what happened with some of the incidents, of course, particularly Kimi Antonelli and Max Verstappen on lap 1, turn 3. But we have 4 laps remaining as it currently stands. And, well, Bortoleto updates. He has got past Yuki Tsunoda, who is a lap car, and he is 1.4 seconds. He's actually a second quicker than Fernando Alonso last time around. He's 8 tenths quicker than Liam Lawson. Can he dispatch Fernando Alonso with 4 laps remaining? Can he do it, Bortoleto? He deserves it. What a weekend it's been for him. You can see the extra grip that he has as they go down through turn 6 and turn 7. The front grip that he has on those much younger hard compound tyres. Almost half the difference in life younger than that of Alonso and Liam Lawson as they're trying to achieve the one stop here today. And you can see he's under the rear wing of Fernando Alonso out of the last corner. Let's see how he fares. No point trying to make him overtake down into turn 1. It's all about the run into turn 3. Lawson will be looking at this and maybe worrying a little bit that Bortoleto will be on his rear wing sooner rather than later. But Alonso does get a bit of a nice exit there. But Bortoleto has a lot more speed with that DRS and that slipstream. He moves out of the way. No, he holds on to position here, focusing about the exit through turn 3. How good is his exit? Does he have the run here? Down into turn 4. Alonso is still benefiting from the slipstream, even though he's 1.6 seconds back from Liam Lawson. And it's going to be tough to go round, of course, the veteran that is Fernando Alonso. And, well, Bortoleto doesn't have enough just this time around. Of course, they are part of the same management team. Well, Bortoleto is part of Alonso's management team. He's technically his manager, Fernando Alonso. So if Bortoleto wants to ensure that he is still represented by the management team, he needs to ensure that this is clean as they have 3 laps remaining. Lando Norris, though, that gap to Oscar Piastri seems to be that Piastri might have hit a little bit of a wall now. As we said, catching is one thing, overtaking is another, as he is in that 1.7 to 1.2 second range at the moment. But Norris is reaching this battle. He is getting past Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda's playing very nicely here as they head into turn 1. As Bortoleto, could this be an important factor here? Could Bortoleto's battle with Alonso with on the penultimate lap get in the way of Norris and Piastri here as Alonso doesn't hold on to the position down into turn 3. Bortoleto gets past quite comfortably. But is Alonso going to be able to come back? Yes, he is. Bortoleto and Alonso are side by side as they run down into turn 4. And Alonso has DRS as well. But who has track position here? Who's going to defend down into turn 4? And it's Bortoleto who comes out second best to Alonso. Alonso, the wily old fox, the veteran here. But he's not able to contend with the extra grip that Bortoleto has as they're still side by side as they head into turn 6. And Bortoleto has to concede to Fernando Alonso. He's all under the rear wing. He'd love this position more than anything. But he has to be careful because Lando Norris is close behind. There's 1 lap remaining and Oscar Piastri is hoping they continue to fight here as that gap has come down to 1.4 seconds. Bortoleto moves out of the way and that has kind of, unfortunately for him, got in the way of his battle with Fernando Alonso. How is Fernando Alonso going to fare here? He's going to want to keep Lando Norris in between him and Bortoleto as much as he can as they head down into turn 1. Piastri very close behind now as well. Who's going to play ball here? Will Fernando Alonso let Norris past? He'll be thinking about his own self and wanting to ensure he finishes in P7 here. No, he lets him pass. Is this going to allow Bortoleto in and to sneak through Fernando Alonso? He also has to be sure that he lets Piastri past as well. This is messy. This is very messy in the last lap of this race at the Red Bull Ring. As Fernando Alonso is in the slipstream of Lando Norris, he's thinking about going past, so is Gabriel Bortoleto. And no, they back off there. Of course, the last thing they want to do is get in the way and take out the race leader. And Lando Norris is able, thankfully, to stay ahead of Fernando Alonso. They're able to keep it clean. Piastri, unfortunately, it's not what he wanted to see. He was able to close up, but he's going to come out second best here, but he is still going to hold on to that championship lead by 15 points as we have 2 corners remaining. Unfortunately for Bortoleto, he's not going to be able to get ahead of Fernando Alonso. And, well, Lando Norris, around the last corner, wins the Austrian Grand Prix from Oscar Piastri in P2. A brilliant lights out to checkered flag finish from Lando Norris. Fastest driver here this weekend. He was the fastest in every single session he participated in this weekend. And, well, for the championship, that is properly still on. 15 points now is the gap to Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri at the top of the standings, as as we can see there, that in third place is Charles Leclerc. 19-20 seconds is the gap to Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris at the front there. Unbelievable gap between the McLarens and the rest of the field. Lewis Hamilton in P4, George Russell in P5, a whole minute behind the McLarens. Wow. Lawson, a P6 for Liam Lawson. What a drive from Liam Lawson there, pulling off the one-stop strategy. Fernando Alonso up 4 positions, third time now this season in a row as well that he has scored points. Bortoleto, 8th place from him. He tried to get that extra position from Alonso, but that one-stop strategy did wonders for Liam Lawson and Fernando Alonso. Nico Hülkenberg, 11 places gained in P9. Unbelievable there. Let's end the vote. Apologies. Who will win the Canadian Grand Prix? Who will win the Austrian Grand Prix? Was overwhelmingly Lando Norris, and of course he won. Let's do our driver of the day, shall we, as well? Let's do driver of the day. We'll run through the remainder of the grid. But yes, some incidents there. Of course, we had 2 retirements from Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. Verstappen taken out at turn 3 by Kimi Antonelli, which was a shame. Would have been interesting to see how he would have fared today. But let's have a look at driver of the day, shall we? I think we have to go Norris for the way that he held off Oscar Piastri. I think we have to go Alonso. Ocon's also a good shout as well, but I think Alonso, Lawson, actually, no, do you know what? It's very tough, actually. Very tough to go. I'm actually going to exclude Fernando. No, I'm going to go Alonso. I would say Lawson, but I think Alonso, because he gained 4 positions, I'm going to say Bortoleto, and I'm also going to say Nico Hülkenberg. Hulk. There we go, driver of the day. Let me know who you think driver of the day, guys. Big thank you as always. And we're going to stick around and see what the drivers have got to say. I think there's a lot of talking points from this race. But yes, let's have a rundown of this grid, shall we? One last time. Lando Norris is your race winner. He held off Oscar Piastri very, very maturely. Very good drive from Lando. Can he follow it up with a back-to-back win at Silverstone at his home race? That is the key for Lando in this championship. If he wants to win this championship this year, he has to be consistent. And can he win back-to-back races for the first time in his career? We will see. Oscar Piastri P2, a good effort from him, but of course, catching is one thing, overtaking is another. That strategy in the middle stint didn't work. In hindsight, it didn't work. It was a controversial moment, because if Piastri was able to make it work, how would that have fared behind the scenes, allowing Piastri that opportunity? But yes, Lando Norris came out ahead of Piastri and maintained that gap eventually. Charles Leclerc in P3, as we mentioned, and Hamilton in P4. Not much more they could do. A very lonely race for the Ferrari drivers, as there's a yellow flag through turn 4, no doubt, for all the additional gravel that is at that corner. Russell in P5. Lawson, a great drive from him, making that one-stop strategy work. We said, how would Liam Lawson fare? Because he only had 1 set of hards and 1 set of mediums. He was forced, arguably, into that one-stop strategy, and he definitely paid off for him. RB doing a good strategy call. Is the world still going around in the right direction? Oh my goodness. Liam Lawson, yeah, P6 then, because of a good strategy call by RB. Fernando Alonso, 7th. Similarly, what a strategy call it was from them to do the one-stop, and also brilliant driving as well. Nothing to take away from Lawson and Alonso. To do a one-stop like that is tough in these conditions. With the track temperatures so high. Ocon scoring a point, 7 places up. I could put Esteban Ocon in driver of the day, to be honest with you, as well. But there's so many that I think deserve it. Behrman up 4 places in 11th. Hadjar, unfortunately for him, wasn't able to make that one-stop work. Just fell off at the end. It was too much for him in P12. Gasly, 13th. Seemed to have an issue with that Alpine. He deserved points today, to be perfectly honest with you. Stroll in 14th. Non-existent from him. Colapinto getting caught up in incidents with Yuki and then nearly driving Piastri into the barriers while he's chasing Lando. Not a good day at the office from him. And a terrible day at the office for Yuki Tsunoda as well. Albon, we saw a retirement, but I'm still yet to gain an understanding of what it was for. Verstappen, we know he got T-boned, torpedoed by Kimi Antonelli. Nothing that he could do. Going around the corner at turn 3, Antonelli just absolutely ballsed it up. Proper rookie mistake, something that we saw so often in F3 and F2 earlier on this weekend. And then Sainz didn't even start the race due to those issues. That is it. That is it. Driver of the day, Kimi. No, I'm not like that. We don't do that here. Norris, well, at the moment, it's neck and neck between Lando Norris and Nico Hulkenberg at this moment in time. So that is it. By the way, guys, 49,000 subs. Thank you, thank you. If there is still 1,000 of you in the stream that haven't hit that subscribe button yet, less than 1,000 of you, it'd be really appreciated if you could. I would really... That'd make my weekends, make my year hitting 50,000 subs. What an achievement that is. I know we'll probably hit it next weekend regardless, but yes, big thank you. Right, let's have a look at the championship standings then, shall we? Because that is... What has that done to the championship standings here this weekend? So, as I have confirmed to you, Oscar Piastri, he was leading by 22 points at the start of this weekend. He now leads by only 15 from Lando Norris. 201 points Lando to 216 Oscar Piastri. But still, that is still a considerable margin, considering Lando was 20 points ahead after race 1. We can see there that Max Verstappen, nil points for him today, unfortunately. Started in 7th and, well, taken out through no fault of his own by Kimi. So he's potentially out of... Is he out of this championship now? Well, he's more than 2 race wins behind Oscar Piastri. So, yeah, that is a tall order for anyone, especially with how dominant the McLarens are at the moment, to make up on them. George Russell, P4, he gained 10 points there, 146 points. He's only 9 points behind Max Verstappen now. Charles Leclerc, P5 still. Hamilton, P6, moving further away from Kimi, who scored no points, similar to Albon. Nico Hulkenberg, just gathering those points. 22 points Hulkenberg scored now. Alonso scored points and is now on level points with Lance Stroll, by the way. So Alonso isn't washed, contrary to what some people, I think, have said in the past. And, well, the only driver yet to score any points this season, well, is Colapinto and Jack Doohan. That is crazy. Jack Doohan is no longer registered on here. But, yes, those are the only 2 drivers who have yet to score points. It's Colapinto and Jack Doohan. That single seat. Bortoletto scored points there. 4 points for him. Thoroughly deserved, almost deserved more. Lawson scored 3 important points as well, 12 points there. He's now 9 points behind his teammate Hadjar, of course, after what was a terrible start for him. Lawson's now got more points than Yuki, and Yuki's done more races in that Red Bull. Wow. How has that happened? How has Lawson now got more points than Yuki? Arguably, Yuki should have a lot more because of poor strategy calls by RB at the start of the season. So I know points isn't everything. We know that. But still, that's a good improvement by Lawson there. He should take stock from that and take confidence from it. The Constructors' Championship, well, we know that was pretty much a done deal anyway. They've just extended their lead at the top to nearly to over 200 points now. McLaren have a 200-point advantage over Ferrari, who move up into 2nd place. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, the Constructors is over and done with. Give it to them now. Ferrari in 2nd place now. 27 points for them. They move 1 point ahead of Mercedes, and Red Bull stay where they are in P4 as they gained nil points today, as did Williams as well with nil points. Racing Bulls move up into P6. Haas move down, and yeah, it's getting a bit close down here, isn't it? Look, Kick Sauber have 26 points. Aston Martin 28, 29. I mean, it's very close down here. This Williams, I'll tell you what, Williams are going to get caught the way that they're going. They're going to get caught the way they're going at the moment, so... what do I reckon? Hamilton could have been P3 with one-stop strategy. Yeah, so I think he could have done the one-stop strategy. I wasn't impressed with their radio messages. There was no context to him at all. They just kept telling him box. Every time he came back about his tyres, they went box. No context whatsoever. Hamilton did box rather than stay out. And I think the reason why was because primarily... due to Leclerc pitting as well. They didn't want to give that position to Hamilton because of a strategy decision. So similar to how I said Piastri, I'm surprised Piastri was allowed. You all right down there, making loads of noise? I'm surprised that Piastri was allowed to do the offset in strategy compared to Lando Norris. I'm surprised the team allowed them to do that because that would have been very messy, I think, behind the scenes, if unless it was agreed prior. But it's very odd when you've got 2 teams like that. It's not often that you see difference in strategies applied when they're 1-2. So Once again, Hulkenberg got robbed from driver of the day. I mean, I see why Lando has been given it. I think Nico deserves... Does Nico deserve it? I mean, I'd have to go back and see it. I think Lando... For me, it's between Norris and Hulkenberg, personally. I think Norris did tremendously well under pressure to hold off his teammate there. And I think he deserves... Even though, like, he didn't make an overtake for the win, sometimes you have to just be defensive, and he did hold off Oscar Piastri very well. His championship leading teammates, the driver he crashed into last time around, and of course everyone thinks that Lando hasn't got what it takes to win a championship and fight his teammate, and he held him off tremendously well there. He didn't make any mistakes under pressure. It's so easy to lock up and just have a little wiggle under into those sort of corners here at the Red Bull Ring, and he just managed it perfectly and always had Piastri covered. But Hulkenberg similarly deserves driver of the day as well because of gaining 11 positions. A lot of that is strategy, yes, but I think he also did a lot of overtaking. He had great pace out there on circuit. So it's kind of not a disservice, but it's kind of like Bortoleto only got 8th. He finished where he started, and Nico Hulkenberg finished 1 place behind him. It's a bit like, I feel like Bortoleto deserves more than that compared to his teammate. But look, that's how races go, you know? So you don't always necessarily get what you deserve. Thank you for the 49k subs. You'll definitely get 50k at Silverstone. Yeah, I think so, Pat. Thank you, everyone. I mean, we're fast approaching it. It's a big, big thank you. It's much appreciated. And I hope you enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed that race. I understand why many of you probably felt a little bit down and a bit bored in the middle of the race, but the way that you could see it with the offsetting strategies, could always see that kind of was how the race was going to play out. And then Piastri didn't help really with his choice in strategy. In the end, it was the wrong decision, and he should have ended up... I was just watching the replay of Piastri. Oh, Piastri watched alone the incident into turn 3 with Max and Kimi. But yes, you could see, sorry, that how the race was unfolding, that it was going to come to a head at the end, and you were going to see those drivers who were on older tyres doing the one-stop strategy, and how that was going to fare at the end and meet out on track. So. Lando was completely comfortable and confident this weekend. Yeah, I mean, the only session he didn't top this weekend was FP1 because he gave up his car to Alex Dunn. He was top in FP2, top in FP3, top in every qualifying session, and he led from lights out to finish here. That is a perfect weekend for Lando Norris, and he should take big confidence from that. Can I just say... I'm feeling rather smug right now, because who said Lando was going to comfortably win this race this weekend? It was his track. Red Bull Ring is Lando's track. Mystic Stuffeyy. By the way, it's probably one of the only times I've been right this season, but yeah. I'm not smug very often, but I'm allowed to be today. Nico needs to give a seminar to all the newbies on how to act when being lapped by race leaders. Yes. The lapping of cars today was torturous. I imagine for Lando. Not for me, but for Lando. How they were staying in, and Piastri as well even, how they were in the way for so long. Lance Stroll also has a habit of this. So Lance Stroll, something else that he's terrible at. Lance Stroll is terrible when it comes to letting lap cars through. Now, he's in this position more often than not, for obvious reasons. But how many times, I can't remember how many times I've said on stream, Lance Stroll needs to get out of the way. He waits till like the last second. I'm surprised he hasn't been given penalties yet for impeding lap cars or the faster cars. Like he's terrible at it every single time. He doesn't do it in the first instance. And I don't know if it's because he gets his back up about that he's being lapped. It's not nice being lapped. No one likes being lapped. It's the same in go-karting, sim racing, track days, whatever. But still, there are rules are in place, and know your place, know what your race is, you know. So yes, so loud, yeah. To be fair, you are my daughter, so I don't know why I'm saying you're so loud. Yeah. Lawson at P5 is crazy. P6, Liam Lawson. P6, Liam Lawson. But I'm going to end Driver of the Day votes. So Driver of the Day does go to, and this is the only vote that matters, Lando Norris. 40% of the vote for Lando. Hulkenberg, 27%. Bortoletto, 22%. And Alonso, 9%. Right, let's run another poll, shall we? And let's do... let's do this one. And I'm not going to put the championship, but I'm going to put, do you think Lando will win in Silverstone? If the weather's very warm, like it has been here in the UK, it's very hot here in the UK at the moment, do you think he'll win? Because this is the key thing for Lando. If he wants to win the championship, he has to be consistent, and he has to win back-to-back races, which he hasn't done before. And Piastri has done that. When you can't win a race, just try and affect the race, I guess. Yeah, true. Well, I say true, not really. Not when it comes to lap flags. But Stroll drives like he talks in interviews. Win easily, screaming from help at the end. True. I'm not saying win easily, but will he win next week? It's almost 50-50. 51% is flirting with 50-50. 52% no. 48% yes. So after 35 laps, Rose 19 seconds back. Then at the finish, also 19. Can you explain that to me? Anybody? Because they're just slow. And Norris, and the reason the McLarens didn't build up a further gap on the McLarens, because the McLarens have got caught in traffic, they weren't able to increase that gap over Leclerc and Hamilton. As you can see there, look, Leclerc and Hamilton were in clean air for the majority of the race. So even in dirty air, the McLarens were considerably quicker. So, yeah, see you next weekend, buddy. We'll be doing a live show next weekend for Missed Apex. So I'm on the Missed Apex podcast this evening as well, guys. Hello. Do you want to say something? So loud. Oh dear. After watching this, even if Lewis has the pace to win next week, Ferrari will sabotage him for Leclerc. I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily sabotage him, but what they did with Hamilton, just give the lad some context, man. Give him some context, because even if it has been, the teams have a lot more data, they have an overall picture of the race unfolding. They were in no man's land, really. But Lewis thought, I might as well stay out. My tyres feel okay. I'm relaying that to them. Why are we pitting? And they didn't say, well, look, we've already pitted Charles. We're holding position. That's all it needs to be told to him. Give him some info. Give him some context to why you are being pitted. Is it because actually your lap times are dropping off compared to those on other tyres around you? Something along the likes. The engineer didn't say anything. The lack of information that they give their drivers is ridiculous. Baby Stuffeyy for the patience win, yeah. She'll be doing this job in the future. She'll be doing this job, so. Bro wants Bono back. But the thing is, I'm not sure if it's necessarily an engineering issue. I do think some of the engineers will be more confident than others, but Bono would go in there and he'd still have to uphold the procedures that Ferrari have. And, well, if Ferrari have this procedure and this motto of not relaying that sort of information, or information having to go all the way upstream to senior personnel before it then comes back down again and they can't make decisions on a dime, then bringing Bono in isn't going to... Yes, he'll have that relationship with Lewis, but then if Bono doesn't have that info to hand or that approval to hand, it's not going to improve regardless. So it's a fundamental issue with Ferrari as a whole in their decision making than it is actually the pit wall, shall we say, itself. Bono wouldn't make a difference. It's a culture issue at Friday. Yeah, exactly. So, no, my pleasure, Flasherson. Much appreciated. Thank you for all the brand new subs, by the way. I think we had over 1,000 subs that stream as well. So I was pushing for the 50k. We'll get it next week, guys. We'll get it next week. When's the channel? What was that, Stephen? When the channel has over baby Stuffeyy for the pastry. When the channel has over 5. Oh my God, you're so loud. This is the loudest you've ever been. She's got this little cheeky grin on her face right now. Yeah. You can take all the attention. You get enough attention. It's daddy's time to have attention. Sorry there, guys. Bit of a family discussion going on there with my 9-month-old. Ferrari engineers could copy the alphabet down and get it all written down in the wrong order. That's probably why they end up going, yeah, plan T, plan O. So at least baby stuff is getting confidence when it comes to the camera. That's true. Ferrari just doesn't want Lewis to beat Chuck. It's so loud. She needs me. I know. I'd love to stay and chat some more, guys, but I think, yeah, she wants some attention. But yeah, guys, let's have. Well, she's absolutely. She wants my attention. So okay, guys. Well, look, let's change scene, shall we? I'd love to talk some more, but we're on the Missed Apex podcast tonight, so we will be there. Big thank you, everyone, as always. We are back. We'll be back. Oh, Jesus, wrong one. We'll be back in a week. I'm on the Missed Apex podcast tonight. I'll be doing some content in the week because I'm now starting paternity leave. So yeah, just tell her she was screaming in front of 2,500 people. I will. Trust me, I am banking all of this. So when she's older, you know, I've got ammunition to embarrass her, as I should do as a dad. But yeah, no, guys, thank you as always for tuning in. I think that was an interesting race. I really enjoyed that. We don't always necessarily need overtakes to make races interesting, especially at the front, especially with the McLarens. I thought we saw them go side by side a couple of times. We saw Piastri try and force the issue, and Norris held on to it. He held on to it and he didn't falter. And yeah, we'll see if he can continue that in Silverstone, which you guys, I'm going to end the poll. It's 50-50. It's 50-50. I think he will win Silverstone. I think Silverstone is a similar track. If you're good at Red Bull Ring, you like generally Silverstone as well. So I think he will be in the fight for that. I think we're going to see a similar performance again. The two McLarens be a class above the rest as they were here, and it's going to be an intriguing race. But you never know what sort of weather you're going to get at Silverstone. At the moment, I think here in England, it is looking like it's going to be a dry race as it's very warm, as maybe the glistening of my forehead shows at the moment. But yeah, I think championship, thankfully, whether you support Lando or not, whether you're a fan, you want Piastri to win the championship, I think, look, for the sake of the championship overall, that was good for the championship because it keeps the battle close. So yeah, now the difference is still within one race, less than one race win, rather than it being outside of a race win and Piastri having 29 points. But yeah, overall good for us fans, and whether you're neutrals or not, just if you want a decent championship battle, because that's what we want. So yeah, guys, have a lovely rest of your Sunday or your Monday, and I'll be on the Missed Apex podcast tonight where I'll be discussing more about what happened. I'd love to stay and chat, obviously longer, but yeah, someone is demanding my attention. So we will see you in the week, guys, and next week at Silverstone, where we'll hit 50,000 subs, no doubt. Thank you always. Hit the subscribe button on your way out. Hit that like button, and we'll see you then. Bye.